first time ever.
Hear you loud and clearly.
And it was going place.
That stuff's great.
But the game is not a roguelike.
Boomer shooter.
Bang.
Hello, this is John St. John, and you're listening to KEEP in the Keep, bringing you all the hits from the finest in the world of gaming and entertainment. Now sit back and relax as the drowned god Cthulhu lulls your mind with the tastiest talk in town.
Welcome to another chapter of In the Keep podcast. I'm your very own prophet of the drowned god, the Motherlode. The Keep is a collective of gaming enthusiasts compelled by the drowned god Cthulhu to frag and jib one another into oblivion for all eternity. Okay, here we are 99 episodes later, and Violentheart finally found some time to come hang out with us. We also have nAeb and Uncle Had, and maybe some other people will join later, I'm not sure. I don't know about you guys, but I just got done with a 4-hour power nap, and I feel amazing. Except for the being dehydrated part. How's everybody else doing?
Great.
I'm fine. I have my coffee, so it's all good.
Yeah.
I never thought that there would be 100 episodes of this. It wasn't like I didn't plan to do 100 episodes. It was more like I never thought that, like, you know, eventually we'll get there at the beginning or anything. It was more like a just wake up tomorrow and do it again kind of thing, and just keep repeating until you get results.
Like a journey.
Results still pending, but here we are.
We've had enough to make it this far.
Yeah, I know. And the show has evolved so much too, because like the theme originally was like arena FPS, and that was probably why no one could see a 100 episodes in mind, because like how fucking far can that go? Which we still do from time to time, but it's evolved into like this indie game show, which, because it was like arena FPS, and then I was just like, well, just FPS or retro FPS of any kind, and then that became like, well, but I really want to talk about this other kind of game, and then, I mean, who the fuck knows where we'll be by episode 200? This will probably be like I don't know. Could be anything.
Yeah, if you do get 100 so quickly, you're pretty prolific there.
I mean, I don't know if it's prolific, but it's definitely, I guess, in the podcasting world, a big deal to make it to 100. Because most people don't, I guess. They, you know, try it, don't like it so much, don't get the results they want to get, and then they quit. Which is fair. I mean, it can be pretty demoralizing if you care enough about numbers. Like everybody kind of expects to be this kind of, oh, I'm going to be an overnight sensation, and that's totally not the reality for most indie anything, especially podcasts. Like, but it's a growing medium. But how's everybody been? Let's stop talking about that. Like, how have we all evolved over the past 2 years? Like, nAeb wasn't even around at that time.
No, I was just there when the podcasting started. Like when you were looking for your first guests. But not at the real beginning, when it was just a gaming community of sorts.
Well, I met you because of episode number 2 featuring Dots, right? And that's what, because I was trying to find somebody from Open Arena, and I think you were the first person I messaged because you were at the top of the list.
Yeah,
on Discord.
you got me mistaken with an admin at that moment, I guess. Yeah, but I was only on top of the list because we won one of our weekly or monthly tournaments. So
I didn't know if you were an admin, but I knew you were a winner.
And to who did I send you then? I guess Meow, and Meow sent you straight to Dots.
Yeah. It was just like this wild goose chase of trying to find somebody willing to go on air about Open Arena, which makes sense now in hindsight. Like, yeah, who would want to do that? What brave individual would put their life on the line?
If you know the inner workings of the Open Arena community in general, you won't have those questions anymore.
Even then, it was like still working hard for the hot takes, man. Like, because I couldn't have imagined just in that short period. That was like first episode was Violentheart, and then the second episode, I'm like, okay, what can I do to like even come close to that? I'll go dig up the Open Arena people, and then it just cascades from there. It's just like, how much harder can I make this on myself? Up until the point where you like. Surprisingly, Fatality was like the easiest guest ever to get on. Like I always thought that was going to be like I'm going to have to go talk to his people kind of thing. But I just messaged him on Discord. I was like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." That was it. Whole conversation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who he is. He's pretty chill with stuff like that. It seems like.
Yeah, man. It is interesting. Learning who the people are who are like that. And like I have run into very little like bullshitty like people who are like, oh no, you gotta go talk to my people or whatever. Like very little of that happens, if ever. But it's like the people who you think are going to be like the hardest to get in touch with are always like for some reason the easiest people to talk to. Just very chill, very relaxed. Like yeah, let's just do this. Disaster Piece was the same way, which I don't even think that episode's out yet. This is episode 100. I think he's scheduled for a couple weeks from now, but same thing. He was just like, emailed me right back within 5 minutes. Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. I'm like, oh, okay. Don't you have like a movie to score or something?
Or another game to make it like an award-winning album for? Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Well, Solar Ash Kingdom's going to be fucking awesome, man, from the looks of it. It's 3D Hyper Light Drifter. With a team that is now experienced and has published a game before and has grown and made a lot of money. So,
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic.
yeah. Uncle Had, how have you grown up since then? Because that you.
I've been
joined
doing
in-
fine. I'm not making album art anymore. I made the new logo. That was fun. That was a great experience with the Motherload. A lot of direction given, and it was a great creative process.
We had to drop that. We dropped that like at like Realms Deep was the cutoff. Like,
well,
no
yeah,
more, I'm not doing this anymore.
Well, it's just because there was a lot of stuff going on at that time. I had school coming back up again. I was like, I need to take a break, and we were like, well, let's just redesign the logo and make a whole new, just generic album art cover, and that works pretty good too. It was still fun doing like 60 plus episodes of custom album art. That was a lot of fun.
It was sucks because that's what a lot of people really liked that about the show. That was like a huge reason people would write and they'd be like, man, the album art is so great. I wish more people saw it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I wish more people knew that we existed.
Well, I didn't do all of them. I got it was originally started by Space. Like he did all the original layout and stuff like that. And I took over because he actually does design for a living. And he's like, I'm busy doing shit for the real world. Do you want to do it? You seem enthusiastic about it, and I wanted to get more into graphic design at the time, so that was perfect for me. That's what I did. I just took over. He sent me the template, and we went from there.
Speaking of, I actually just heard back from Space like 30 minutes ago because I invited him to come do this with us.
Yeah.
And he said, yo, smiley face. It's really kind of you to offer, but I have plans to head outdoors around 11, which means him and the wife are going to do some shit. Oh, shit, Flambeau's here.
No, I've been here for half an hour, but my wife is making noise. I'm muted.
Okay. That's your daily Flambeau. Everybody has to have a daily Flambeau. Where was I? Oh, yeah.
Spaced.
So Steve's Space is hanging out with the wife. But he says that it sounds awesome, and he loves us all, apparently. So,
oh, nice.
So,
if you talk to him, give him my regards.
Oh, I will.
Tell him we miss his luscious lips.
Yeah, we miss him.
Those
nice digging sessions in Deep Rock Galactic.
But he designed the original logo and was doing the album art for the first little while there when we were still doing it with State of Quake. And then, nobody really thought this was going to become an enterprise of any kind. And not that it is in any way, but like I stayed very consistent. I'm publishing an episode every week, come hell or high water. And that's when you stepped in and you were like, well, if he can't do it, which is exactly the way the podcast started in the first place. Cause I was like, well, if State of Quake ain't going to happen, by God, we're making something.
Yeah.
And
I joined on episode 8. That was Messiah, I do believe. I'm looking at my files here. Yeah. Messiah was the first one I did.
I remember that because that was like the really cool black and white with like the gray cement kind of thing going on behind it. If I remember.
Yeah. Space showed me the wonderful anybody that's looking to design some fun album art and stuff like that, or any kind of needs backgrounds for good graphic design. Unsplash, Unsplash on just Google it. It's a great, but just royalty free website for stuff, and a lot of the album art was designed using some of those stuff as like the backgrounds for the early days.
Well, you came like really far really quickly, because if you go back and like actually side by side every album art, like the one with I Kill Pigeons, you did that one. That was the first one.
That one I had to like rip the resources because I didn't have the actual Photoshop files, so I just drew over like a 3,000 by 3,000 image that I had. It worked. It technically worked. Nobody noticed. Now you know.
I think no one noticed but Spaced. Because he had like
he had a bit of an aneurysm. He's like, "Oh, everything's off." I was like, "What do you mean?" And then I could see like the tick go off, and I was like, "I'm going to show you some stuff." And I was like, "Sweet."
Blood vessels popping in his eyeballs.
Exactly.
What the fuck?
My baby. No.
It's like watching somebody use Photoshop and not use shortcut keys. It's that infuriating level of just like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, but no, I understand.
No, I mean, that's the whole story of this show is like, there's a job to be done and ain't nobody doing it, so somebody better do it. Guys, I think he had like a busy work week and just like didn't, have time to get around to it. And I was just like,
he still did episodes from time to time. Like I'm missing, what is it here? Episode 11, 12. Just like, looking through them, there's a few of them that he wanted to do himself, and there was like certain special episodes where he's like, I got this, and I was like, no, I understand. Certain guests, right?
Like, Quake Legends, like so I think he took on the second appearance of Locktar.
And he might have. I did the first one. I did episode 20. Yeah, I did.
Because Locktar was like before that. There was 2 instances of Locktar being on the show. That's what I'm saying. Like,
wait, when did you do the tournament? He did that big tournament where you're like, you're gonna do great and shit, and then he came back, and then you're like, yo,
oh my god, here we go. I'm about to.
We got to look at this. Locktar was definitely episode 20.
Review the tape.
Yeah, I'm looking at
Locktar was episode number 7.
Oh shit! So he did episode 7 and then episode 20, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Looking back, this show started out strong. It was like Quake 4, Open Arena, Dusk, World, back when that was still kind of a thing.
You had BPS on there on episode 10.
Number 4 was Cygib.
Ooh.
And then Human Bones, which that started a whole thing. That was like a cascading nightmare of events that turned into the partnership with the Multiplayer Doom Federation. And then I was like in dire straits. I'm like, shit, what are we going to do now? And that became, let's just have I Kill Pigeons on and talk about the Orange Bucket acting troupe, like the VR acting group he's in, which is awesome. That's still a great episode. Like, people still sometimes write me and say like, I wish you would have that guy on more. And I'm like, man, I wish I did too.
What period was this? Was this like 2 years ago? 3? No.
That was published May 9th of 2019.
2019.
Yeah,
2 years
I'm
again.
looking at I have the date man. The date we last accessed, like around episode 14 and 13, was like, August 5th and August 12th, like around that time,
Yeah. And then Locktar was on for the first time. And Locktar was like, I knew at this point that eventually State of Quake was going to stop producing the show. Like, I wrote to Unkind and I was like, okay, I can tell that you producing this show is, just you going out of your way to do it in your extra time, which was amazing. Like, thank you. But I'm going to take this seriously, and I'm going to learn how to use, because I didn't even know how to use Audacity or anything. I didn't know anything about recording stuff, nothing at that time. So he kind of gave me the rundown. He kind of showed me the ropes. Like, this is how you produce a podcast. And I think I produced number 5 and 6 myself and sent it to him. And then number 7 was the first official, like, I'm taking on the show completely. I bought, a hosting site, which at the time was Buzzsprout. And from there on, it's all me, production wise. Where were we going with that though? No, Spaced on Art. So I think he returned again for Machiavelli. He was like, and yeah, I think he did Milton. Didn't he do Milton?
He did do Milton. Yeah, he did 11 and 12, and those are the ones I'm missing here.
Milton,
he did 11 and 12. Yeah,
Milton was, and I think might still be. I lost a lot of the stats when I switched hosting sites, but I was blown away by how many people showed up for Milton. It was like, we're getting 50, 60, maybe, on a good week, 100 kind of things. And then Milton was like 1,000 in no time. Like, I woke up the next day and I was like, what?
What?
Holy shit. But if we're really digging into the history of the show, number 15 is that's when the show went.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. From like this silly little thing to Pandora's box opens up. And that was Andrew Holschult. Wow. What a guy.
That was fun. I got to be on that podcast too.
Yeah. Because do you think I should tell the real story of that podcast had, now that we've had some time to get away from it?
We can edit it out if we need to. You could
if we regret it.
Yeah, if we regret it, we can edit it out and ask Mr. Holschult himself. It's okay if we talk about it.
Oh, I don't think he'll mind.
Oh no, you're talking about that. Oh, the different.
We acknowledge
incident.
it.
Okay, we're not talking about that incident. Don't worry.
I'll tell that incident too.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's 2 incidents.
This is one of the greatest things that ever happened.
Because let's just start off with this fucking episode was. There was so many forces going against it from happening. It was almost like they were telling us not to publish it, but we're like, we're gonna publish it anyways. Fuck all you.
So
yeah, it was great.
Violentheart was there. So me, him, and Ease and X24 were, four sexy dudes cohabitating at QuakeCon. And we all brought coolers and stocked the room up with beer. And so that basically QuakeCon was just me drinking ungodly amounts of beer the whole time, which is what you do at QuakeCon, apparently. This was my first experience, but I think I nailed it. And a couple days in, I'm walking around the BYOC, and who's standing next to the New Blood area but Andrew Holschult. Because I walked up to talk to David. Oh, this is another stupid aside. I walked up to talk to who I thought was David, but was actually Steve of New Blood, because they're like twin brothers. They're both just big, jolly dudes with beards. I was like, hey, David. And he's just like, oh, I'm not David. David's over there. And I go, oh, there's David. And then sure enough, he's standing next to Dave Oshry. And I'm like, hey, guys. And then there's this third guy there. Because I knew Andrew Holschult was a dude with long hair and a beard, like a big beard. But I didn't, there's a lot of that. I mean, that's 90% of the people who show up for fucking gaming conventions anyway. So I didn't even realize that this was him standing next to us. And I was just like, yeah, you guys ever want to do a podcast episode? And then Holschult's like, wait, you're the In the Keep guy. And I was like, yeah, because I had emailed him, I'm like, dude, you should be on the show sometime. And, he obviously had bigger and better things to do, but he couldn't turn me down in person. So he's just like, he was pretty wasted too. He's just like, let's go do it right now. So we go up to the hotel room, and I had like the little stupid studio, like with microphones all over the place around the couch and shit. And we sat down, recorded an episode. And then when I sent him the audio, because I always do that, he was just like, oh, we can't publish this. And I was just like, yeah, you're probably right. And he agreed to do a second recording on Discord with me and Uncle Had. And that was where the real drama starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was fantastic. So that was when you were using was it a multi-track recording software or something like that?
I used OBS at that time.
Oh, that's right. So you had OBS recording Discord and then your voice separately.
Yep. And so when I listened back to the recording, it was Uncle Had and Andrew Holschult and long periods of blank space that should have been me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was so I'll never forget that moment where we end the podcast. We're like, "Oh yeah, great. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, you'll have a good day." And then I'm being a goober right after that and just saying, "Oh, mother, that was so much fun." Had shut up. Okay. Just shut up for a second. And I was like, "Oh. Uh-oh." Uh-oh, and he's like, "I got to mute myself. Give me a minute."
You know what
3
I did
minutes
in that
later,
time?
I'm guessing you were just fucking scrubbing through that audio looking for anything.
Well, once I realized like I'd had my moment to kind of scream with no one hearing me, I think you probably remember, I was like, I gotta go. And I just left for like a couple hours and came back. I got up, left my house, and went to my buddy's house and helped him move a bunch of heavy furniture because I just had to get out some frustration. And he called me and said he needed me. And I was like, sure, let's do that. And then I came back, sat down, and dubbed the whole episode. I dubbed myself into the whole episode. So anybody who goes back and listens to number 15, that's not really me talking to them.
Now, here's the thing. I was there for the entire conversation, and he re-recorded all the questions pretty much exactly how he even like played it off, and like the exact like when we were talking originally, it was kind of uncanny. And I was like, it doesn't sound like you stitched yourself in. You knew exactly what you said.
Yeah, I mean, I re-listened to it. This took me a long time. Like, I re-listened to it. I got an idea of like, okay, this is what I said. It wasn't like we weren't doing 3-hour long podcasts at the time. It was pretty standard length, like an hour or something like that. And I was just not gonna bother him to like, hey, dude, I know that we fucked up the first recording because we were both barely speaking English, and then I fucked up the second recording that you were so generous to do. So can you do it a third time? Like, that wasn't going to happen. So
yeah, no, that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, no. So like you kind of created like your own little interview training tool. Like, how do you ask a question and sound good while doing it? Like, you got like 3 attempts at that, and like you kind of cheated it, but you made it sound really good. Like, I told my girlfriend that. She's like, I couldn't even tell. Like, we listened to that episode on the way up to the camp because we need time to kill. It's like 6-hour trip, right? So
yeah,
there's 2 hours right there.
Just looking back over the catalog, there's like names that kind of pop up in the list, and you're like, oh, that's when I became friends with that person, and they're like remain a standing relationship to now, like friends of the show, friends of In the Keep, and of me personally, like I've met a lot of really, really interesting people now who I like cherish, but only because I would have never met them if I didn't have this stupid podcast to be like, hey, do you want to talk to me for an hour for no reason except because I said so? And they're like, I mean, for some reason, oh, other people are going to hear our conversation. Yeah, that sounds great. It makes it desirable in some way. Like Locktar, right? First time he's on it's Quake World Pro, and this is Locktar has retired. He's not coming back. And then the next appearance of Locktar is QH Land 2019 dual champion Locktar. Because I talked him into going back for some. I was like, you have to do it. You better be there. And that was the first he'd never won.
Retire, but these bastards keep dragging me back again.
He was going to retire with no dual championship at QH Land under his belt, and that's the year he did it. All because I filleted him so much.
And then you made him fight again and make him lose it. You piece of crap. No, I'm just kidding. That was fun too. That was later that year, wasn't that? The Pigeon Classic?
No. This is the QH Land. Like in
Oh no, I know, but like, didn't we get him back for the Pigeon Classic like right after that for a grudge match or something?
Yeah, like shortly thereafter. That's when we did like the him versus BPS charity match. You're right.
We'll get to that though soon.
I don't know. And like, where does it go from fucking there? Who else pops up around that time? Devastation, Rotten Rose. That was all
Shazik.
part of my.
What did Shazik play again? Shazik, yeah. Shazik was Quake. Which Quake, though?
He was Beyond Strafe Jumping podcast.
Oh, that's right.
That was like, I mean, he was interviewing all the European pros, like people I didn't have access to even. He had like Avec and I think he did Machiavelli. Yeah, he did Machiavelli well before we did. He did a lot of really interesting stuff. He actually, I believe, quit Quake Champions to go pursue an Overwatch career. Like he wanted to like become a pro Overwatch player, and I think that's what he's doing now.
Yeah, well, Overwatch is like every character is pretty much a derivative of some Quake like gameplay style, right? You got your lightning gun characters, you got your rocket launcher characters, and all this. The grenade characters are strong as hell.
Yeah,
but you got your Team Fortress elements in there too, so it's pretty awesome. I don't blame him for going over to something like that.
Smango, QuakeFans.net was in there somewhere. And Devastation. That was another one of those people that I met at QuakeCon, but I didn't interview them there. But that was the beginning of a long and beautiful friendship too.
Ah, so cute.
Yes. We already covered Bones' first appearance, but that's kind of where things start to get a little more interesting because let's see. When did Talking Doom #1? 31 July 2019. So this is actually
the worst day in history.
Just before all the QuakeCon stuff happens. I'm sitting there. I don't know who the next guest is going to be. I'm panicking. I'm talking to Nationwide Moose, and I'm like, who can we have on? And he's just like, I know a guy. And Talking Doom with Flambeau was born.
Yeah, simple as that, indeed. Nothing more to add, sorry.
He told me this story. He's like, there's this legendary guy, this Dutch guy, and he got so drunk one night that he said he was going to go walk his dog, and he came back 30 minutes later, and he walked his leash around the block.
I opened the door, and the dog was standing inside looking at me. I'm like, how did you get inside? He never came outside with me. Fuck. So I had to go again. It was indeed an interesting night.
So meanwhile, what was old Violentheart doing? Because you had that whole experience where we played at QuakeCon, but you had to use my shitty computer because yours gave out. And then where have you been since then? You've just kind of been like living life, like not really doing much Quake stuff nowadays.
Yeah, I haven't played much Quake since then. Basically been doing stuff with my career. I got moved into a new role at the company I work for, and it's into a lot of like really hard software engineering stuff, things that I never envisioned myself doing. So I've had a lot of learning, and it's a lot of hours of work anyways on top of the learning. So I've just been kind of doing that, playing a little bit of the new Doom single player, trying to play a little bit of old Doom single player. I think right now I'm going back through like Final Doom and all that. But I really don't play Duel or Quake or anything. I think I've played maybe 2 or 3 duels in the last half year, and they were with Sir Head who can't hear, just trying to, like not lose my feel for it, I guess.
It's interesting because we're at this kind of point now where your generation has kind of like given off to a totally new generation of players. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's obviously like a much bigger spectacle than it ever was. It's weird because like Quake 3 was a huge spectacle, but then like you came in kind of Quake 4 era where there was still some of that, but it's just, that we see this kind of devolvement for a while. And then in the past few years, like basically since Champions and Live and everything kind of, I guess, revitalized it in some small way. But now it's like, Rafa, like everybody in esports, even if they don't follow Quake, knows who Rafa is or whatever. But he's like one of the only people who had like that super longevity in the career. Like even like Machiavelli doesn't play anymore. You're kind of at that point where you're just like, I'm an adult now. I have like a real job and a mortgage and like shit to do. It's fun to like watch people grow up.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm old enough and played long enough. I can actually say that I played against like Old Man Toxic in a couple of events head to head, stuff like that. Obviously didn't go too well for me. Got a few frags on him, but that was it. He's the only other one I can think about that's like my age and still around competing. And I mean, you guys saw he's kind of chilling and taking it a little bit easy, even though he's still competing too.
It's wild. But there's so many fantastic players that have popped up. I think Lateral Lulz just qualified in the Challengers League like yesterday or something, right? Like these are people that I remember seeing like kind of popping into the diamond ranks 2 years ago, like when we were starting the show.
Yeah,
and
he wasn't even part of it because like the Challengers now is way different. I mean, I made the finals of the QPL Challengers 1 for North America. I ended up getting second, and he wasn't around. I mean, I never played against him, and now like he's taking QC further than I did, I think.
Side note, didn't you win the Canadian Championship 2 years in a row? Even though you're not Canadian.
Yeah, actually, the only one that I didn't win, I didn't play in. I can't remember why I didn't, but yeah, I won the like 2 out of the 3 or something like that. But it was 2 years in a row, and I think in their Discord, I'm still listed as the Canadian champion if I look.
That's amazing.
Wyoming is honorary Canada.
Yep, it has Yenum and Chain, and sometimes Gel is listed as Canadian pros, and then one ring above them is the Canadian champion, me. It's been that way for, 2 years now. It was when Time Limit Duel was in PTS only still.
Yeah.
That was their last tournament, so it's been that long.
Isn't Genic is the only other guy I can think of, like top-notch Canadian players at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't. He's relatively new to Champions because for a while there, I remember like we would play Genic in live, but like he just somehow decided like fuck it, I'm going pro, and then qualified and has pretty much been a mainstay, I think, since then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of how it was for me, I guess. You said I came in at Quake 4, but I played a lot of Quake 2, a little bit of Quake 3 pretty early on. Actually, I mostly played Rocket Arena in that and went back to like Quake 2 Duel. So I was like sort of active in the scene over the years, but I didn't really like decide to take it far until Quake 4. And I kind of, like you were saying with him, just decided one day to go for it. Got lucky, got a sponsor, got a lot of fun, probably more than I deserved, and here I am talking to you guys, I guess.
Well, we love you. Well,
Theoretically.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly, yes.
Oh, man. And then, so, I don't know, where do we go from there? It's like, there's so much to this catalog. Brad Carney, that was another QuakeCon guy. And then number 34, we got Szymanski. That's another beginning of a beautiful relationship because, Holschult obviously opened the door for this, but now people look at Holschult. I'm like, hey, David, would you like to be on the show? And we had briefly met at QuakeCon, but he's like, oh, Andrew did it? Yeah, I'll do it. And then that was when the boomer shooter area of the show kind of kicked off. I'll give Brad Carney some credit in that Rack technically was a boomer shooter, but it was like before the real resurgence kind of happened. But then it was like 3 episodes in a row. It's David Szymanski from Dusk, Bruno from Nightmare Reaper, and Wrath of Ruin, which were like the 3 biggest boomer shooters coming out at the time. And I think the next one after that was Proteus. I had Dragonfly on, which was a weird one because I didn't know that he was working on Proteus. I reached out to him because of Ev Eternity. Like that, I had kind of fully gotten into. This is the first real like Doom Megawatt that I played, and I was like, I want to talk to that guy. Little did I know, he was actually the level designer on Proteus. So I had 4 in a row of, at that time, the biggest, coolest, newest boomer shooters coming out, and that fundamentally changes the direction of the show from there.
Those were fun album arts to do too, like Nightmare Reaper, Kill Pixel, Dragonfly.
Yeah, because that's the first time that we really got like, here's the press kit to make stuff. It wasn't just like send us your logo.
Oh yeah, so we got I got access to like 4K images of like all their artworks and stuff like that, which is great because it's awesome wallpaper stuff. Thank you. Like, I have so many nice wallpapers. It's wonderful. But anyways, like they were great to use for backgrounds for the album arts in different ways because they were usually stuff you would see like in the backgrounds of like their pages on Steam or something like that. Something you wouldn't normally see a high resolution image of. Usually you'd see like 300 by 600 or some shit like that. So it's really nice to see them in their like because they are huge pieces of art. Like you look at something like it's a little bit later on, but we got access to like or Kill Pixel. We got access to what was it? The Wrath Aeon of Ruin press release kit, which include like 3D Realms of Slipgate or like studio stuff. Like it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was that. Like looking back on it, it doesn't seem like such a big deal anymore. But like this is like what's really cool, I guess, about doing what we're doing right now is that I can really looking through the catalog see these transitionary moments like of when we took another step and when we got a little bit too I was going to say too big for our britches, but we actually just loosened the belt a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, we just realized that people are like people realize they like, hey, people have interest in this. Sure, I'll do a podcast. Why not?
Well, it's like it's a thing where like you start out with. I don't know how we got the first several awesome, like, I guess G-Nick, because, we had played a lot of Quake Live with, he was familiar with us from that. Yeah. And then, onesies and twosies there, but mostly it was just kind of like, community people like, hey, Havrix, I really like your website. At that time, that was Quake.cz was the only actual like statistical site keeping track of everything accurately for Quake Champions. Because fucking Bethesda's site was dog shit.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad.
That kind of stuff. And then we had Doombringer. Christus was on there pretty early too. But then this moment was really like a game changer. And I think that was when Doombringer was not really a boomer shooter. It was an arena FPS.
That's right. That's right. It was. I thought that's why when I saw like the all the updates for it, I was like, whoa. Yeah, this is going to be actually something, not just another
one they fly.
Not, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Doombringer's coming out into early access. Like by the time people hear this podcast, it will be out. I think it's July 4th or sorry, not July, June 4th or 5th. So at that point, by the time people hear this, hopefully nothing goes wrong between now and then, and everyone will be playing Doombringer. And now Doombringer is like a spectacle, like organ grinder. Like people eat Doombringer up. It's so cool.
It's different. That's what people want.
Yeah, man.
It's similar but different. Like it's such a weird thing to have to request, but it works.
Yeah. And then you get like Ultra Kill and Heat On. We squeezed in there, and Big Eye Guy and Noel. I met the Big Eye Guy at QuakeCon too. He like walked up to me like, "Hey, you're the in the Keep podcast guy. How come you guys don't make episodes anymore?" I was like, "What the fuck do you mean?" And just like, "Well, I listened to like the first 6, and then I didn't hear any more from you guys. I was a really big fan of that show." And I was like, I realized he was listening on like the State of Quake SoundCloud page, and didn't get the memo that we switched. But we had him on.
That's
that was
your
a really
fault.
Cool one. That was the first one that I sent to my grandma because he made Slot Mania. He was like a designer on Slot Mania, the mobile game.
Oh God!
And Mama's real into gambling. She plays slots on her phone all day long, dude. You have no idea. This like. Especially like COVID times, like everybody can't go to the boats every weekend, which was, that's what mall-malls do in the South. You go to Biloxi every other weekend and gamble all your grandchildren's college funds away.
Yep. Hey, if you win big though, they get a better college fund. There you go.
I had a real time.
Or they don't have to attend college at all.
That's what I didn't even go to college. So it doesn't matter. Champ, Rocket Jump Zone. I had a real hard time getting him to do the show, and now here we are doing the Zen Sport stuff with them. The Zenotic tournaments recently have all been produced by Rocket Jump Zone. I should say the tournaments are put on by Rocket Jump Zone. The streams are produced by In the Keep, and then this, Zen Sports sponsoring everything. That's been a whole endeavor that's totally separate from the podcast.
Yeah, he's been at it for a while, actually. When I came back to playing Quake, it was early on in QC. There weren't really any North American tournaments yet, so I played overseas in a couple of his events. My first one, I think, didn't go so well, but I made it to the lower bracket final, got third in one of them, and was knocked out by Vengerer. Actually, when it was the round format, I took him to 5 rounds on Blood Run, and then he 3-0'd me the next map, but he was the one that got me back into it too. I played with high ping on his stuff to get going.
Oh man, when you said he 3-0'd me, I had just forgot that Quake Champions used to have round-based duels. Like, and you just hit a light switch on. Like, yeah, that transition happened somewhere in there too, right?
Yep. Yeah.
When was that?
That's what I was talking about. The Canadian champion stuff. That was maybe a little. Well, it was basically almost 2 years ago. Maybe right around this time, and that was the last Canadian tournament I played in. It was time limit duels, but it was still only in PTS, so it was about 2 years ago.
That's right, I remember that. That was like, oh god, so frustrating. Like, you join a lobby and you're like, oh, we only play on the PTS. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what is going on here?
Yep.
But that was why. I had the PTS. It was just so much of a fucking, you had to, that was always the struggle with Champions, is like trying to find people to play with, regularly. And then, so you can't just go into PTS and join a lobby and then get a duel. Like, that was pretty, not within your rank or whatever. So we had to kind of come up with the whole system. That's kind of how the Discord evolved, was like, all right, sign up for a game and we'll ping you. Don't worry. We'll let you know when we're playing. What else happened in that time? I'm going to go get some water. You guys fucking figure something out to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about you when you're gone, so that's good.
I'm looking forward to hearing this, like, when I edit it, but I'm not going to hear it now.
But we're gonna, go take a piss and a poop.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a leak too. Be right back.
Yeah, let's just all take a leak. When he comes back, everybody just say nothing.
Yeah, just say nothing.
Hello, Edikins.
Nothing. Or I'll take I have to make a quick sandwich. I'm fucking starving.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a drink too. I gotta get a Malibu.
Don't leave me alone in here.
Don't leave me alone with my thoughts. Don't worry, I'll put on some music for you. It'll help the time pass by.
You're supposed to be alone. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
But we still love you.
That's so mean.
What's mean? He invaded our country twice.
What? That's only being jealous because...
Yeah, and my grandfather wants his bike back, by the way.
Never got the world championship.
Nah. I'm at
You got the world championship? What happened?
No, we're having the European Cup again going, and then there is always like the real war between the Netherlands and Germany, but without actually fighting a war. It's just all about football. That's the best. We are the best enemies when it comes to international football.
Yeah, that's the best matches. Like, intense.
Yeah, we even it was back in the 80s, but we even introduced our llama strategy.
Yeah. Frank Rijkaard.
Correct, yes. Of the Rudy.
Yeah. I remember that.
You
vividly.
just spit him in his hair. Damn it, poink.
I was sitting at a friend's when we watched that, and we all went nuts.
Are you that old? I was shitting my diapers back then.
The European Foosball Championship?
Yeah.
nAeb, shouldn't you be competing?
Be right back.
No,
Come and get a
not
drink.
foosball. It's the football.
Football,
soccer
real
championship.
football, not
Oh,
foosball.
that's not even. Foosball's the only real sport there is. So, little known fact about nAeb is that he is a top-notch. Jesus, Flambeau! Holy crap! What are you doing?
What?
I don't know. You did something there that sounded like you smashed glass into your microphone. It was
Yeah, I
pretty funny.
did.
Oh, okay.
Instead of like putting the glass to my mouth, I was sticking it to my
Teeth,
no microphone.
like the Grinch.
Yeah.
So
Where's the Grinch anyway? Did you invite him?
the Grinch.
Yeah.
Ironically, I was watching the Grinch like maybe 6 hours ago. My friend's kid was watching the Grinch on television, like the Jim Carrey one.
Oh, that one is good.
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, nAeb is like a top-notch foosball player, which I didn't know was
Not
like a real
top-notch, but-
sports thing that
Mhm.
people did.
It's a
I
real
thought
sport.
foosball was only played at churches and like boys clubs.
No.
Oh, there's even the Texas State Championships going on right now.
The Texas State foosball champion. That's right. You told me that.
make it and was like, "That's a good idea."
Yeah, Uncle Had is not muted.
They were like, "Hey, when Hannah gets back, let's make fun." I'm like, "I just got that."
This is great.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Anakin is the best, by the way.
Cameo from Mrs. Haddicant. Mrs. Kant.
Mrs. Kant. Oh, you should hear her when she's playing a game. You should hear her scream, shout, and spout
that's-
everything out that is coming to her mind, which is great.
Anyway, foosball. Texas has like a ginormous foosball. I guess it's because of the lockdown, right? Like they were like one of the only states that didn't shut down bars and clubs for people to meet up and play.
Yeah, Texas is pretty well known for a huge foosball community. Even the American table is produced in Texas.
What if like next QuakeCon we try to talk to the foosball people and put them at the same place at the same time? And then we could have like the BYOC, and then we'll just walk away from the tournaments and go watch the foosball tournaments, and nAeb can win the Texas World Foosball Prize, and then we can all go drink on his dime.
Where is the QuakeCon? Is it in Austin?
It's in Dallas.
In Dallas. Then it should be the same city. Like the Texas States are also in Dallas.
Well, we need to cross the beam somehow. Let's reach out. Like, hey, foosball community, we think you'd really like all of our sweaty nerds.
I guess there's some competitive players also competing online in some games, because it's pretty similar to if you have like from mindset wise.
I mean, I would imagine you have to be a very weird, hyper-focused person who doesn't really care that they're, whether or not the sport that they're playing is the most popular sport in the whole wide world in order
And then
to
just
be
wash your hands like a motherfucker after.
oh my
all
God,
this
dude, we can hear you. I'm just going to mute him. In order to be like successful at it, you kind of have to like not care that what you're doing isn't the most popular thing in the whole wide world.
Yeah,
Right.
but that's with a lot of sports. Like take curling, for instance, until some of the last Olympics.
Yeah.
Most of the people
Curling.
didn't
I
know
thought you meant like
curling.
hair curling and shit. Like I was like, is it a sport? But never mind.
Do not
Yeah,
make
Olympic.
fun of my national sport, you jerk.
Just so you're aware, Uncle Head, we could hear everything you did for the past 10 minutes, and I'm leaving all of it in. We could hear Angela. We could hear you. We could hear the dishes. It was amazing.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I thought I muted it.
No.
Well, please remove it if you could. I thought I muted it.
Anyway, yes, Olympic curling is all about hair curlers, and you have to see who can get the biggest thing. So you have to grow your hair very long, like down to your feet. and then you have to curl it in such a way that it's just like this one big afro around your head. It's really hard.
You should
mock my
apply for
country.
ESPN to do the next Olympics, Motherload.
That's the next deal. That's the next broadcasting deal for In the Keep is Olympic hair curling.
You'd be as disconnected as David Hasselhoff in that one movie.
It's like an ESPN
Best in Show
APO
or
show
something.
kind of sport.
It made me wonder why, like, there's the discussion in esports to also go to the Olympics. Because, yeah, it's kind of sport, esport, you know, the whole discussion around it. So there's the idea of making it like an Olympic sport.
The thing is, you know,
But
If equestrians can do it, I think gamers should be allowed to do it too.
in my opinion, because I'm an Olympics fan since a long time, and there's a different competition, different tournament that would fit way better for esports to be included in. That's the World Games. The World Games aren't known that well at the moment, but esports could boost that. Like, it's already there. Like former Olympic sports that aren't used on a competitive level at the Olympics anymore, like karate and shit, is on the World Games, or snooker, billiards, for instance. So that would fit better. Also for foosball, if you want to include that.
I mean, I don't really. Most of the sports that are quote unquote sports that are part of the Olympics they don't belong there anyway. So like, I don't really care what they throw in. Like
Skateboarding needs to get in the Olympics. That shit's for real.
Why?
Oh, that's also in the World Games, as far as I know.
It's in the X Games.
Yeah, and they have their own, like the X Games.
Yeah, but I think it's just as, like, there's sporting to it. You could definitely
But on
do
the
that.
other hand, you could say, okay, bordercross and snowboarding is also in the X Games, but it's also on the Olympics.
Exactly. That's why. Or you could do mega ramp stuff. You could for skateboarding if you really want to. That'd be actually really interesting. But enough about that. You know what I mean? But
I don't know. Like, we got a pro gamer here. Like, what do you think of that?
Not much.
Not you.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Violentheart, like, would that even make sense to have esports in the Olympic Games at all, or anything even remotely close to that?
I don't know, because I mean, at that level, like, so esports, there's a physical aspect to it, but it's not like the other sports. Whereas the other sports all have some crazy mental, stuff that esports has. So I think esports only has like half of what the other sports really have there. So I don't think it fits there. I mean, it's kind of like bowling. I played esports, I bowled, and neither of those I consider to be a sport, even though you have to be sort of athletic to do both of them at a really high level.
It's weird. Well, like what? Because people tend to talk about esports in like this sort of all-encompassing thing, but like what games would actually show if they did have the Olympics? Like they're not going to do Counter-Strike because you can't have like Afghanistan versus the United States, terrorists versus anti-terrorists. It's not PC.
Overwatch.
That doesn't matter for the Olympics. Because take fencing, for instance. And fencing is the simulated killing of people. So they don't have a problem with that.
I don't know. I was thinking more in the way that it would frame people. I don't think it should matter too much, but I'm imagining what the Olympic Committee would be down for. It's not going to be CS.
You cannot. That's the thing. It's the same in foosball. Like, we have a gazillion tables around the world. We have a Spanish table. We have a French table. We have two different German tables. We have the American table and Asian table. So which table you should use for the Olympics?
Dining table.
No.
Naturally.
And it's the same for esports. Which game you should take?
Mm-hmm.
What did you say, Violentheart?
Oh, I said naturally, just make an Olympic table.
Yeah, like an Olympic-sized pool.
Yeah, so you
But
have
it's
to
foosball.
make an Olympic shooter, for instance. If you
That sounds terrible.
compared, no, just take the best shooter there is that's played with the most people, and just replace the textures in a sportly manner.
It sounds lame.
Yeah.
It's still the same game.
Yeah,
And pro level players don't care if it's like
Yeah, it's Fulbrights. What are you complaining about? Everybody wants Fulbrights. There you go.
nobody wants to see that. Not that anybody wants to see most of the Olympic Games now, anyway. But like, honestly, I think that pro level players in a lot of modern games, because we're not going to be playing fucking Open Arena and Quake and shit in the Olympics. That's never going to happen. It's going to be like Overwatch, StarCraft, League of Legends. Like, that's the kind of shit that has enough pull, like enough people who actually give a shit about it and is like somewhat kid friendly enough to, I think, actually show up in the Olympics.
And it's more.
It doesn't matter.
Oriented, I think.
As I said before, how many people watch curling and it's still an Olympic sport?
Fuck the Olympics. I don't care if esports server shows up in the Olympics.
Yeah, but as I told before, it's, in my opinion, it's better to be on the World Games and promote that show a bit more as an alternative to the Olympics, and leave the athletic sports to the Olympics, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Oh, even then, like, even if it weren't the Olympics, I still think that at the world stage, like, the interest in any esports are pretty much going to be limited to kind of the games that I've already named here. Like, it's going to be, Dota, StarCraft, League of Legends, Overwatch. Like, first-person shooters aren't even going to be, like, the main focus.
The thing is, it will change rapidly, because if one game isn't the hot shit anymore, people will move on to the next one. But people don't move on from tennis or golf or whatever, like the traditional sports, because they are played as is. Like, there's still a lot of people training for being a tennis world champion or a Wimbledon champion or of sorts.
Who would win in, like, the StarCraft?
Like, nobody plays StarCraft 1 on a competitive level. Like, nobody watches
StarCraft
that
2 still, right?
Yeah, it's 2, but
StarCraft
not 1.
Yeah.
So it shifted. And maybe in 20 years, there's like a different game that's like StarCraft that will be played instead. So that changes on the esports side, but not on the traditional sports side.
Have Olympic level PvP Civ shit like that, or what's like a good RTS other than, like, that actually is competitive these days?
There's a new Age of Empires coming out.
Yeah, like Olympic Command and Conquer.
Oh my god.
Keen.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know.
All cutscenes must play before the Olympic events officially begin.
Yeah.
It's actually part of it.
Yeah.
Speedrunning could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Having a game like, say, Super Mario 64 as a standard speedrunning thing, like, as an Olympic event, It'd bring a spectacle to the live competitive speedrunning event, that's for sure.
Well, it wouldn't work because then you'd have to go, like, it's going to be country by country, and there's just going to be, like, zero interest. Like, who's going to really, like, be the people who compete? in that. It's going to be all like America and Europe and Asia, like Eastern Asia, China, Japan, Korea.
Everybody should just play Doom. That's it.
There won't be a lot of representation. Yes, and Z-Damon will be the official source port of the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you imagine?
And you get DDoSed. DDoS the Olympics hashtag. All right. Violentheart, you said you got to dip out at some point here?
Yeah, here pretty shortly.
Just wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to make a smooth transition if you wanted to, but just let us know. Back, I guess, to revisiting the history of In the Keep here. I think I left off. All right.
Just start at the beginning again.
No, that's not happening. There's a particular instance that happens when who do you think, if you guys had to like put a hand up and say who's the most awesome member of In the Keep, like actually the best admin who's done more to change things but still flies totally under the radar doing it?
I have a loaded answer for that.
Okay. Is it you?
No, it's Gelmo.
Yeah, for sure it's Gelmo.
Yeah.
The guy that isn't here.
That was my answer also, so it must be him.
Galmo and Bram Flakes.
Yeah, I was going to say
Bram Flakes because he said under the radar.
Yeah, she's way more under the radar. I was wrong.
Where are you? I miss you.
Bram Flakes, girl, you're great. Come back sometime.
No, come back. We miss you.
So, like, yeah, obviously, I think of all of it, who works the hardest, who puts the most skin in the game, definitely Gelmo. Like, no question.
Oh, don't phrase it like that. Most skin.
Oh yeah, who puts the most foreskin in the game?
Not Gelmo.
Not Gelmo.
No, that's definitely going to be Bram Flakes.
All right, we're deleting that comment.
And that's a timestamp. You can write this down here. One second.
Write that in the notes somewhere.
Yeah, at 59 minutes.
If you cut it out, I'm gonna get my son downstairs now, and he will finish his interview for me.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So for sure, Gelmo, I think, has done more to expand In the Keep beyond just being this podcast. Like we turned into a production company, because of him, and a lot of everything, like the game servers. He does everything. What does he not do? But specifically, the tangent I was going on is that without Bran Flakes, a lot of shit wouldn't have happened, because somewhere before episode 41, she was just going around and like hitting up all these really cool people and like, hey, you should do this podcast. You should do it. Like, and that's how I met Fred Schreiber. And that began our kind of relationship with 3D Realms and opened up the door to a lot of other cool shit with a lot of other companies too. I mean, we'll get into what that really means for the show, but episode 41, Fred Schreiber. And then at that point, they're like basically three kings of, the indie publishers that make kind of the games that we are all oriented around. I mean, 3D Realms, no one would ever be able to deny, like, just Duke Nukem alone, how much it meant to this whole community. And so then there's him, and then shortly thereafter we had Stephen Kick from Night Dive Studios, and then Dave Oshry of New Blood. So I got the trifecta, the triple crown of boomer shooter daddies knocked out right then and there. And that was like, it was weird, because then suddenly we had we kind of took another step up in terms of like, it's still indie, but it's like not, I don't know, it's a more official thing. It's like now we have like relationships with other people who can network us into other people who are working on really, really, really cool games. Because I think like shortly, like, no, the next episode after Dave Oshry was first on was like, we got the inside scoop on Gloomwood. And that game is so fucking cool. Has any of y'all actually played the demo to Gloomwood yet?
I have it installed. I haven't gotten around to it, but I really want to play it. I need to set time, like set aside some time just to really sit down and play it.
It's not long. Like you could probably do it in about maybe 30 minutes or so, depending on how much time you want to put in. Because I mean, it is an immersive sim, so you can have just all the fun you want. But
okay, that's good to know. Okay,
yeah, and I think maybe like a month or two after that is when I met Ted of Dread XP, who at the time, like, it was weird. I got into them because they had a podcast that I really liked. They still have it. It's just not like the most widely distributed thing in the world, but it's called Real Professionals. And it was like all about horror games. And, Ted has been interviewing people since forever, working for, I guess a few different companies, but mostly Dread Central, like in the movie industry. And they still produce movies and stuff like that. But kind of started DreadX as their gaming branch and was just doing the podcast and a bunch of really cool articles. And I guess built up his, network of indie horror game people. And then the DreadX collection comes out. And that was like it wasn't even like it was a big deal for us. It was like we got to kind of witness a shift in the horror indie game scene in real time. Because I got to play, what was it? The escape room game in that. Outsiders.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago.
Before it came out, and that's what the basis of our conversation was. Like I played Outsiders, and then that was part of the first DreadX collection, and now there have been 4 since then, 4 DreadX collections just since then, and more to come. And they're producing like a couple of other like full length games. Like they're trying to get away from just doing the collection thing and like full on be a game production company, and it's really, really fucking awesome. So that was like so cool, so strange. That's also when we met Maleki. It was like a week before that. And man, I skipped a lot of shit here. There was just a real quick recap. James Paddock, Matt Tropiano, both from Adventures of Square, and then Jahar, and then Maleki. And then we got into the DreadX stuff. But yeah.
And Maleke's been a weird part of our community. Like by weird, I mean like we tried starting up this weird little segment on Sundays called Serious Sunday, and I knew he was a big Serious Sam fan, like absolutely huge. So I was like, hey, you want to help host some Serious Sam stuff on Sundays? And if you guys want to do that, go ahead.
Why you guys like Serious Sam so much?
It's just fun. You just shoot shit and you keep going. It's relaxing. It's very casual. Big explosions happen. You get to shoot a lot of stuff. What is there not to like? You get to...
I guess in the world of like fast-paced first-person shooters, Serious Sam is pretty like it's relaxed compared to playing Doom or
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just shooting a bunch of enemies and holding off hordes. It's just practicing like management of just hordes. It's fun.
All right. So like I guess Violentheart Irish goodbye us, but that's fine. He said he was gonna, but you never really feel an Irish goodbye until it happens. We had Mike Jared. That was number 62. We already kind of brought that up, but yeah, that began the rivalry between In the Keep and Running with Scissors. And
we have a rivalry with them? Shit, where have I been?
Well, I killed him.
No, you didn't finish the job. The fucker's still out there.
I'm really stoked to see what kind of revenge he enacts on me this year. Like
I'm kind of worried, but at the same time, I don't know. I think you'll be fine.
If I mean, the coolest thing that could happen to me is if like I just get jumped by a bunch of like just Running with Scissors people, and just dudes all dressed up as the Postal Dude, and just jump me in the streets of Tucson. And
you're gonna be in the streets of Tucson, and all of a sudden you're gonna hear in the background is like, games are bad, they make you mad. Games are bad, they make you mad. Games are bad, they make you mad. And then you just get beat over the head with a bunch of signs. And you just keep getting hit by like the angry ass mobs from Postal. How many people have you pissed off today, Motherload?
That was the lead in to Realms Deep. this is like, I had just gotten the invite for us to do Realms Deep, and I kind of leveraged that, I guess, to get into my Chase office. I was just like, hey, we're doing this Realms Deep thing, and you should be on my podcast. Hey, and he was super cool about it. I talked a lot of shit, but like, he's actually like one of the nicest, coolest people ever. Like, he literally will, like, anytime I have a question, get right back to me. Just very helpful, always awesome. But we do that stupid sketch, and then that leads into where Realms Deep happens, which is, I think, easily the biggest thing that ever happened at the show. And
once again, technically, that wouldn't have never have happened if it wasn't for Bran Flakes. So once again, girl, thank you. Holy crap!
I don't think that
Bran Flakes are the best.
I don't think we'd be where we are without that series of events that she started at all. Like, I can't imagine.
Best PR ever. Holy crap.
And so then, we do Chuck Jones, American McGee, Tim Willits, Cliffy B, John St. John, and I'm not including John Romero because
you were not there.
Episode.
You were not even there.
I was there for that. That was a panic attack and a half. Holy crap.
Yeah, and Motherload was just still sleeping.
No, you know what do you mean? What do you mean? No, he wasn't still sleeping. It was literally like an hour after he went to bed.
Yeah.
We were just shooting the shit and chat, and all of a sudden I get a call from who was it? Fred. He's like, "Where's the Motherload?" I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "We have John Romero ready to talk right now, and he has no other time. So is Motherload ready?" And I was like, so I think I contact Donkey. Like, Donkey, you know people on how to get a hold of them, right? He's like, "Yeah, I know. I have the Motherload's contact." I'm like, "Can I have your? Can you call him? We kind of need him." And I explained the whole situation. We dragged him in. It was like half an hour of like panicking and be like, "Okay, what do we do if we can't get a hold of Motherload?" Okay, hey, Vince might be a good option. He likes Doom, right? Yeah, this would be neat. So we message Vince, we pull him in, like, "Hey, Vince." He's like, "Yo, what's up?" Like, "You want to interview John Romero?" It's like, yeah, I guess. Like, you said, it's like, what? Like, we're like, "Yeah, we might need you to sub in." And we almost had him sub in, but then we're like, "Wait a minute, if we can't get, so like, who else can we get if somebody like a little bit more knowledgeable, a little better at interviewing?" Because Vince hasn't really done that. He was just going to be like a step in if we absolutely needed somebody. And then Fred's like, "What about Jahar?" I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah, let's get him too." So we had 2 people on standby ready to go.
I loved, because I actually couldn't bring myself to listen to it for a while because I was so ashamed of myself. I'm really not mad at myself. Like, I
were up all night though, so don't
pulling all-nighters. Like, I was hardcore pulling all-nighters for all the production shit with Realms Deep, and that was one of those days. Like, all right, like, I'll leave off with, all right, we have contact with John. We're gonna get something scheduled, within the next week or so, and I'm like, okay, all right, cool, sounds good. And I'm gonna go to bed, and then I wake up. And I mean, dead sleep, dude. None of y'all's calls, nothing woke me up. And I wake up and I have like 800 missed calls from Canada and in North Carolina. And then I get on Discord and it's the same thing from Europe. Like, it's all cap messages from Fred. Like, "What the fuck? Where are you?" Like, but I mean, listening back to it, it was awesome. And if I were going to pick anybody, I already kind of told this story a bit, but if I were to pick anybody to interview someone in my stead, like, just do my show without me, Jahar, 100%. He's absolutely number one, my hero. Like, just love the guy. And he's been so cool to us. Like, so cool to us in every way. If you took me back to, February 2019 when the show started and told me one day he would know my first name, I would be like, that's ridiculous. And it's not even like a bit. There's like, we're talking about John Romero and fucking Tim Willits and Cliffy B and shit. None of those names mean half as much to me. Not that they don't mean a lot to me, but like, as Jahar did, he was like this unobtainable fame to me for some dumb reason.
Sound like a fanboy.
I mean, I am.
Yes,
I was
yes.
totally, if I'm being totally honest.
No,
that is
I
exactly
just
how
let
I
you
feel
being
about it.
honest. So yeah, that's.
I'm a huge fanboy of Jahar. He's fucking sue me and beat me up in a parking lot.
Jahar, if you ever need somebody that really loves you, Motherlode's always there.
And he's
I mean,
always
I don't
ready.
want to like
And willing.
blow him. I just
He's ready to go.
Yes.
I'm just saying that like he was an example of someone doing this arena FPS boomer shooter thing, and he was also really cool, but he was someone who made it seem obtainable. Like that is a real thing people can do.
Yeah, and you made it.
And that was like one of those examples that made me say like maybe I can do something, within my own lane, but in the same kind of vein. And
you did. So congratulations on achieving that. You will get a silver medal for it.
a silver medal in the esports Olympics.
Yes.
Yeah, so Realms Deep, that was a thing. Like, that was probably the most traumatic and turbulent time in Uncle Had and I's relationship.
Oh yeah, and I was on vacation for half of it. It was funny. Yeah, like what was it? Like the whenever the Canadian August long weekend happened, I was like away for like a week, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. Just if you want to work on your video, just take your time. And you're on vacation." And like it was originally only like me and him, and like, do we have anybody else actually on at that point?
Yeah, we had. I mean, Vince and Red Eyes had already kind of agreed to help us out, but okay.
If we needed it, right? And then you're just like, we need it.
I'm gonna need a beer for a second. Hold on, you guys.
Yeah.
Hash this out, and then I'm gonna get.
Yeah, so I'm basically going all out to up to the camp, and it's I'm having a nice time. And I told him ahead of time I have limited access to internet. Like we had some basic stuff, but it was just enough to check Discord messages, see how everybody's doing, making sure nobody's shooting somebody, or beating somebody up, as I usually do as an admin. And so they get on the team, Vince and Red Eyes, and that was an absolute blessing. Holy crap! I am so glad they joined because they had so many great, better ideas for doing these multi-track recordings and editings because. We were recording like a friggin' Discord call for all this stuff and like having to put video filters and like images over top stuff and overlays and stuff. So it was an interesting time. But having to coordinate for the first time with people remotely and having like a centralized place to store all that stuff and organize it and have access to that was a new experience. Never had to really do that before, but I can do it. We all did it. There's a lot of stress and communication. Like, what file is which? I'm like, I don't know.
Okay. All right. So Uncle Had leaves for his vacation, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with a good vacation. You deserved a vacation. The agreement was all of the presets would be left for the other guys.
And they were.
Use.
They were. To be fair, they were.
Yeah, it's all water under the bridge, man. I don't care.
No,
it was just care. Like we hit full on panic mode while you were gone, which I did not foresee.
Oh, it was great. I foresaw it. I'm like, you're gonna be all right. He's like, yeah, we're gonna be all right. I'm like, okay. I know these things happen.
You're a bigger man than me because I would not have communicated. Like, I went on, when I went to Seattle a few weeks ago, turned my phone off. If something had happened, like
No, don't lie.
In the keep.
You just ignore it in the keep.
You
just ignore it in the keep, that's all.
No, I legit turned my phone off, put it in a bag, and didn't touch it for 5 days.
You did react to me, so
I call bullshit.
That is not true.
That is so true.
You were wrong. It's not, because I didn't touch my phone for 5 days.
Break out the logs, kids.
Break out the logs.
Mm-hmm. When was that?
You'll see zero online anything from me and during that week.
Dun 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 dun. Let's find out.
I wouldn't lie to you. Not about this.
Let us carry on.
Yeah, I know. I'm very, very confident.
I just did a search on vacation, and so far, every of your vacations, maybe the exception of Seattle, You send me pictures.
I always send you pictures after the fact, but
No,
that's because I had
also
Emma.
during the fact. You like legit. You send me a picture after you took a poop.
Oh, that's not me on vacation. That's me at my house.
Oh, was it the bidet thing you showed us?
No. Also, he just takes a dump and then
No,
he shows me pictures of a dump.
I
Okay.
report every poop to Flambeau.
It's a thing. It's a thing between Dutch people.
Okay.
Do Dutch people make sure they stay regular? Is that like a thing there?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
we just
good.
make
We
sure
just check
everybody's
somebody's
taken-
health by just evaluating pictures of their doo-doo. It's quite normal. I know that you are now looking like a disgusted face, but for me that's totally normal. At least with mudload.
You just make sure everybody's doing okay. Like, hey,
Yeah.
it came out solid. It came out liquid. It came out at all.
Yeah, I just added like Mrs. Motherloads to my son's contact list, so he's now sending her pictures too of his poop.
She would love
Jesus
that.
Christ.
No, it's not Jesus Christ, my son.
No. Well, that was my name growing up. Or at least I thought it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, after Realms Deep, suddenly people give a shit about our podcast because they've heard of it.
Are we only at the else? Damn it! This is gonna take 3 hours until we finish. Go home, please.
No, we're at this is like episode 70 now. We're like way up there.
Oh.
So MK Schmidt is a big one there for me personally. That was right after. That was right after Paradox Vector had come out, which had been featured at Realms Deep, but I had reached out because of Paradox Vector because it looked, is absolutely beautiful artwork and everything for a boomer shooter and such, but I didn't realize at the time that Star Explorers was the real game, and he sent me Star Explorers and he's like, hey, I know I'm already in for Paradox Vector, but you think we could show my other game off? And for anybody listening to this, if you haven't played Star Explorers, it's like $5 or some shit on Steam. And like we're coming up, I think, on another huge update for it at some point in the near future. But it's like one of the coolest games I've ever played. It's so good. Essentially, you're like a little space dude, and you just are exploring essentially a procedurally generated galaxy or whatever. And you're basically constantly doing resource management to like find fuel and then explore new planets until you can find this particular crystal that makes the fuel and enough for it to like find the new settlement for mankind, essentially. And there's a lot of like ancient aliens, like discovering old civilization kind of stuff in there. It's just fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. But anyway, yeah, Mike has like become one of my best friends just through the podcast. I talk to him, if not every day, at least 3 times a week, always in touch. And I've just learned a lot from being his friend. It's amazing.
Oh, nice.
Just like you guys. Like, that's the best part of everything that's happened here is that, I spend more time with you guys than I do with my own family.
Oh.
Like, I mean, my wife excluded because I live with her, but like I live 2,000 miles away from most of my family. But I talk to these 3 people that are here right now every day, which is Flambeau and Uncle Had and nAeb, for anybody who's lost track of that. I hope they didn't.
I'm Uncle Had.
Who's Flambeau?
Hour and a half in. I don't know. Some jackass.
Some piece of shit.
And that episode number 70 was when we started working with Zen Sports on the, doing contract shit for them, esports wise, which is begins the age of Gelmo. Really, like we're already like had Gelmo
The
around.
golden age of Gelmo, yeah.
Yeah, this is where Gelmo gets to shine and like really take on the esports production shit. So like, I'm a little because we haven't done enough on our end, like the In the Keep Twitch channel because we used to do so many cool community tournaments and everything, and that has just really not become my main focus. But I really want us to do more of that, in the future when it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But we're at this point now where it's like it's not worth doing if it's not a business venture. So we'll have to be figuring that out over time. And then there's another one around that time. 2 of them right around that time that were like pretty awesome. So I kind of got on this kick of like I want to interview musicians. We'd already had Andrew on like way early, but then we got who was it? The Doom. What was that like weird 24-hour Doom rave thing? I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that was a Pigeon Classic.
Yeah, we did that as the opener for the Pigeon Classic.
Well, they were doing that. Like they were already doing it the same weekend, and we were getting like this was dumb. We were like, let's make the Pigeon Classic a month long, which I don't think I'm gonna do again. That was too much for me, but especially not this year because that's gonna be like right around the time I move.
So much money though, like that was so awesome to do it like that because then people like got I think we got more people to sign up for events because of that. Because people are like, well, I don't have to commit to it this weekend, but I can show up this weekend. Like, it was awesome for that.
It was definitely. I don't think I want to necessarily do tournaments anymore. I really like the organ grinder method. I like the exhibition match, grudge match thing way more. Like the BPSB Locktar thing we did a couple years before, like before this for the Pigeon Classic. That was the best Pigeon Classic. That was easy. Like it was better. It had a better turnout. I think it was much easier to manage because what we did for the last year was a month's worth of full on tournaments. And it was just like way too much. I don't think I would want to repeat the amount of stress. I really am happy that we raised all that money. I'm really happy with like the turnout and the event itself and everything, but the amount of stress that it caused our team to put it on, I think we could do more donations. We could have a better charity turnout with less stress and input, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, they asked me to do Aubrey Hodges. And so that was kind of my end because I'd been wanting to get him on forever, but now I had a reason like, hey, this is for a thing. And he was amazing. That was the one that Amorpher joined me for, who was the biggest Aubrey Hodges fan ever. He's like, you know how you're a John St. John fan had? Amorpher is 800 times as much an Aubrey Hodges fan. Like just amazingly intricately knowledgeable to like a nearly autistic level of just Aubrey Hodges' catalog.
No, I understand. Like when you're really into like somebody's work, like you kind of have to know their work.
Aubrey kind of pioneered a genre of game soundtrack that inspired Amorpher to make what he is now. Like that's his entire kind of I don't even want to say life's work because he's also a fucking bioengineer or something like that. He's like
a lot of the really successful game designers I find are like either like they're multi-talented in some sort of asset, right? Like they have a passion for gaming, but they're like, I need to do something as a main career because gaming's not like to them, at least at the time, it's like it's not a feasible mainstay option for me. But that's honestly, if they can manage that, hell yeah, do that.
I don't know if it's Jacob's life work, but Amorpher's life's work is the music that he's created inspired by Aubrey, and that's why he's if you want a really badass Quake soundtrack, he's the guy. I mean, he's the James Paddock of Quake essentially to make a good transition there. And then shortly thereafter, Marquee Music was on, and that was also like, whoa, this is a Viscera Fest. It's actually just come out into early access recently. So it was kind of about that. A lot of it was about that. But also like Marquee's another one of those guys that's just been in every corner, creeping through every little detail. Like he was in Quake Champions, he's in the Arena FPS community, the Boomer Shooter community. He's a level designer at 3D Realms now, or Slipgate Ironworks or whatever. Fucking amazing, super multi-talented guy. And then we started revisiting more Arena FPS stuff, which was nice, like to kind of get back to our roots, I think. That was Ande and Fatality and Emerald Tiger all in a row. So like the best Quake broadcaster, one of the greatest Quake players of all time, and then a guy making a new kind of, I believe it's Quake 3 oriented Uber Arena, but like also a very classic, Quake Live level designer as well. And that was fucking fun, man.
Mm-hmm.
That little tangent there. And
Pulled an Uncle Had.
I think like this is like a year after having talked to Dragonfly about Proteus. That's when we got Jason on to really talk about General VV, for anybody who doesn't know his name, man. But that was like we've come full circle on this game. It's fucking cool. I don't know, like I feel like this whole conversation has just kind of been a lot of like me being like, that was so cool.
Well, it was really cool. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it enough. Like I just see so many names in this list that I'm like, oh, it's like one of the people that I talk to all the time. Amazing. Like we've built, I shouldn't say but like we have built so many cool relationships that kind of span the horizon of the indie game world, or at least our little corner of the indie game world, that it's hard to believe for me. We just got a message from Flambeau that says that his daughter shat herself because she heard my voice.
Shit.
Okay.
Literally shit.
I guess we'll hear back from him shortly.
What a goob.
What's like, I do want to kind of, you don't have to like pour your heart out, but I'm curious, like what's kept you guys around?
It's just fun. I don't know how else to describe it. This is great to hang out.
Okay.
There an issue? Like it's a good time just being around. It's a good community. Like I can't like describe it other than that. Can't go wrong hanging out here.
I think we've done a pretty decent job of minimizing the bullshit and maximizing the like good vibes in relationships thing.
Yeah, we just really want people to come here and play video games, have a good time, forget about the bullshit of what's going on in your day, and if you have to talk about it, not a big deal. We can try to work it out with you, but like we've done some we got
Smokey. we got just to be a counterbalance to that. We've got Smokey.
Yeah, we do some armchair philosophy
can we armchair. Like redo the logo again, but let's make Smokey our mascot instead of Follow.
I would love that. I think he would hate it in so many levels, but I wouldn't want to do that to the guy.
I fucking love Smokey, man. He's like he's a cornerstone of the community. Like you can't hang out and in the keep and miss Smokey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, I think RedEyesGreenDragon has just joined us.
Oh, nice.
Yo.
Yo.
What is good?
Oh no.
Oh, we should. Oh, how's it going there, friendo?
You've joined at an interesting
am I quiet
time.
at all? Okay.
No, you're perfect.
You sound beautiful.
So, for anyone who is unfamiliar, RedEyesGreenDragon is the editor-in-chief, Dr. Master Lord President of In the Keep's video production, which does not include the podcast yet.
Yeah, that
but
top rank.
That's all me. So any issues with the podcast are solely on my shoulders. But
Red Eyes takes care of the midwives.
Yes.
Damn right he does. Midwives and friggin' baby catchers, am I right?
But
so the tangent we're on now is like what keeps you around? Like why hang out at the In the Keep store all day long?
At the store?
Whose turn was it?
Yeah, it's imagine if In the Keep were like a physical location. Like, why do you keep hanging out here? Why not go do something else? It's not the money.
Ambience.
The smells.
The smell, and the ambience. Yeah.
No, like for real. Like, why do you care enough to be on episode 100 to help me very shittily celebrate 2 years of doing this dumb thing that we do?
Because it's about having a good
I was
time.
forced to be here.
Nobody's forced to be here.
Well, I'm at gunpoint, you see.
Yes.
So I value my life. But no, we're all here. If we weren't having a good time, none of us would willingly not only be here today, but, in the chats at all. And I think we all get along, and, most new people that come and casually chat with us, we all get along, and we're all just playing games, hanging out, having a good time. What's the hate? What's the dislike?
I mean, if it really, because you're framing it like all we do is just sit around and talk shit and play video games, but like there's all this like enterprise and expectation that I've unfortunately built around it, and I don't fully always. I'm always appreciative of it. Like, I love that you guys are around and helpful and everything, but I don't really fully understand why it's worth doing to everyone, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like, if it really were, you just show up and play video games and we just hang out and shoot the shit and that was it. Like, that'd be it. I guess it's important that we do that.
Do you want a straight and honest answer or not?
I mean, yes, of course. That's why I'm asking.
I came because I was interested and intrigued, and it was a lot of fun. And I stayed because you guys are my friends.
Yeah.
That's my straight and honest answer. I can't make it more juicy, I'm sorry. I'm even friends with nAeb, a German. Come on, a Dutch guy and a German, we are friends. Isn't that something? Bless Cthulhu, Katala, whoever.
In the Keep, crossing borders.
Yes.
Ending conflicts.
We have to watch the World Cup or the Euro Cup at one point of time.
Yes.
Gonna watch it together, and if the Netherlands is gonna play versus Germany, I'm definitely gonna drive over to Germany and we're gonna watch it together.
Yeah, that would be
I'm
really
buying
nice.
beer.
Or we meet up in Aachen or something, like half the way.
Yes, we're gonna sit at the border. I'm gonna sit in Germany at the border. You're gonna sit in the Netherlands at the border.
Yes. And I have like a Dutch shirt on, and you have the German shirt on.
You do indeed, and then with the Dutch pants. So the Dutch pants, German shirt. We're gonna be the symbolization of like brothership. Yes, great. And then I'm gonna spit in your hair.
Trade shirts, trade jerseys. Like, nAeb has to wear a Dutch jersey, and Flambeau has to wear a German jersey.
You mean lederhosen? Yes, I could do that.
Does the German team play lederhosen in soccer? They wear lederhosen?
Yes, and we run around on clogs. Yeah, really, we do. You should just watch it. Google it.
It's only one German team that has that custom, but not the national team.
All right, nAeb, it's your turn.
Yeah, my turn. What's my turn?
Why are you here? Why do you give a fuck?
Why do I give a fuck? Yeah, that happened over time. Like, you got me involved with that whole episode 2 thing. Then there was, I think it was the first Pigeon Classic or the second one. I don't know. When I got to be a winner of a Steam key of sorts.
That was the first one, because he also got German lessons from you, and that was at the campsite, and I definitely remember that. So this was the first Pigeon Classic. I am 100% sure of that.
Yeah, it's something around. And you did a lot of Open Arena duel tournaments at that time.
Yeah. I was like the only guy doing that for a bit.
Yeah, and
does anyone do it now? Does it like is there? I know Smango kind of took over for a little bit while.
Yeah, I did some shows with Smango. I did one with Alone, and I think one with Hedekant.
Or
Yeah.
what was the event that you did with Night Owl? Was that like a?
That was Quake Champions.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just gonna say.
That
was
was
like-
the
that was for
young players
Young
club.
Gamers League or something like that.
Young Gamers Club or something. Yeah,
Yeah. Man,
that
I
was
forgot all
also
about
nice.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do more shit like that. That's what I'm getting out of this conversation. Is we gotta refocus. We gotta double down on esports. That's where the money's at, boys.
No, I mean like such. Bring back those what was it called? Blind date thing that State of Quake had, or not really competing to Organ Grinder, but to be like a different thing that is also contributing to the whole show.
Yeah, like I said, I really think that they have the right format, man. Not doing tournaments is the way to go. I don't, because tournaments, like, no one even cares until the finals. Like, it's a lot of stress and a lot of hard work, and then like you get down to the semis or whatever, and that's when people start to like actually give a fuck. And it's so hit or miss. Like, you could do so much work and no one show up for a tournament. You could do a lot of preparation, and then like day of, like 4 players, you're just like, not interested. And for what? Like, for a tournament like that doesn't really amount to anything. Who gives a shit? Half the time you already know who's going to win, and it's just not as interesting. That's what I like about Working Grinder, is that players that are not like the best of the best players can have really, really entertaining matches, and they build the drama up around it.
Yeah, it's like wrestling.
Yeah, exactly like wrestling. That's a great way of putting it, and I think they get that. Like, I know Jahar really gets that. That's the whole cloud of it. That's what's so beautiful about it, is that you can take a character like DK, who's in a tournament would be a nightmare. Like, he would be probably banned from the tournament immediately upon showing up. But if you're actually milking the drama for what it's worth, set him up with a grudge match against somebody. It's so cool. But yeah, just like, I mean, nAeb, you've been fucking invaluable too. Like, you're kind of the always down to help out guy. Like, anything that we need, usually it's like, hey, can anyone do this? And nAeb's like the first one to raise his hand and be like, I volunteer to
That's true.
take on that task.
There's little that he doesn't want to do.
Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of people who have, like, over time been part of the community, but then there's like and this is not to diminish anyone. Like, everybody has their own priorities in life and jobs and, whatever they have going on, or interests even. But like the core, always there, always working towards the overarching goal group is like us, or essentially like you, me, Had, Gelmo.
I'm not doing shit, but thank you.
Your moral support.
Yeah, that's...
And then...
Yeah, but we also do other things, like watching shit together and discussing
taking a shit together.
Several topics of life.
Aliens.
Yeah, aliens, for instance. Didn't you tell me that there is like it's a congressional hearing or a Senate hearing on that topic soon?
On Bigfoot?
Apparently, there's a lot of word going around right now amongst the scientific community. Like, several people have been reached out to. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I know, was one of them. I think Sam Harris, for whatever reason, and like Lex Fridman. A lot of these kind of like public speaking science people have been talking about how they are getting word that the Navy, the U.S. Navy, is going to have a congressional hearing about revealing all the data that is currently available to the DoD about UFOs, and this was actually attached by the Trump administration to the COVID relief bill or whatever that they passed. Like it was like an added on attachment. Like within 6 months of this going into effect, the DoD will release all information on UFOs. That doesn't necessarily mean aliens, but
UFO, it's UFO. It doesn't.
It's not an unidentified flying object. Yeah.
Object. That doesn't imply aliens.
So it could be a solid fart.
It could be whatever, and it doesn't have to be alien. It can be like
North Korean,
maybe North Korean, or even I don't know.
Weather balloons.
I really doubt that the North Korea. If anybody out there has like this superior technology that's like confounding our American forces, I don't think it's North Korea. But if I had to hedge my bets, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. But yeah, like the news from that's going to be that's going to be a long night of me and nAeb just probably having brain aneurysms.
Yeah,
what's going on, man?
Yeah, it's a funny topic. Like there is certainly something. Like there's a lot of people coming forward with stories the scientific community cannot really explain.
Well, it's actually quite interesting. Even like the real famous, who's the commander, the Navy commander who observed an aircraft from his aircraft over the Pacific Ocean that like went from 80,000 feet to sea level really quickly and moved strangely and all that. It's worth noting, not that I don't trust that he saw what he saw or anything. I'm just saying,
we just cannot fully explain what he witnessed.
Correct. We all we know is that his sensors in his plane and allegedly his eyesight, he saw something that he couldn't explain, and that the Navy was not able to explain. But that does, again, if you know anything about flight avionics, especially in fighter jets and shit, like there's a lot of sensors going on here, and I'm not fully convinced that the sensors were attuned, correctly. Not to say that it didn't observe. Like the sensors didn't report what they reported, just that I don't know if that necessarily means that the data that they gave us was 100% accurate. Just because it said it came from 80,000 feet to sea level doesn't necessarily mean that it was. That's actually what happened. It just means that's what the sensor reported. I mean, I'm not a fucking scientist. I'm not really equipped to.
But a lot of people have also seen Bigfoot. Yet we don't have people took pictures from it and shit. So yeah, it's possible.
I far more convinced about aliens than I am about Bigfoot at this point.
Have you seen my mother-in-law?
Is your mother-in-law a Gigantopithecus?
No, but she's a monster, so I will definitely also believe that there are other monsters maybe out there.
You know who I want to have on the next episode? Talking to
my wife.
Your mother-in-law.
Oh. Well, how long is an episode going to take?
I mean, an hour?
Then just pick one topic only.
Okay. Because,
you're so rude.
You spent so much time, bashing her on the show that I feel like, it's only fair that we give her a chance to speak on her own behalf.
That's good.
Flambeau is a fair
I'm sure
man.
she doesn't mind.
So, another thing before we go on any further with the In the Keep podcast bullshit is that during this time, we branched off and went into producing 2 other podcasts. So, there was the Doom is Dead podcast, which we haven't done an episode in a while, but that's still an ongoing series. You can look at it on our website, all that kind of thing. And then more recently, Burning Bridges with Bridge Burner, which is like the level design podcast. Mm-hmm. It's, as far as I know, the only one in existence that's specifically about level design. So that's been absolutely amazing for me to kind of get to turn the. Like I said at the beginning of this conversation, I didn't even know how to use Audacity, and then now to be a semi-professional podcast producer to some extent, like, you know, turning a profit on that. It's really, really interesting and cool and fun. Some of the shit that they come out with, dude, man, I think Bridge Burner is actually like better than me sometimes. His interviews are so interesting, man.
Meow. Yes. Also your
Thought I'd let the
pussy.
cat chime in.
Is it your pussy or is it your wife's pussy?
Good gracious.
Here, Kitty. Come on, come say hey on the podcast, Kitty.
Say hi to the podcast.
Meow meow.
Hey, Flambeau.
It's Flambeau. The tired cat is going like, no. And he's like, come to talk to Flambeau. The poor cat.
So then there's like the Bridge Burner was on, E1M1 was on. This is like way more recent stuff now. And another big turning point, and I haven't really talked about this too much, like actually to our audience, but another huge turning point for me was number 88, Call of Seregnar, which is turned into another small enterprise here within the other small enterprise that we are. And that was I had those guys on because a lot of people were telling me like, this is a really cool game that you should check out, and interviewed them, and then just kind of kept talking to Damian, Raw and Tavon, for anybody who only knows him on the internet, and got to know them pretty well. And I kept, you know, asking questions and making suggestions, like about, like, you know, what are you gonna do about this and this and this, like different things about the game's production. And that turned into like, hey, you just want to be our project manager? And I was like, I mean, I have no experience.
Sure. What I got to do for it? Nothing, like a manager. Okay, cool.
Yeah, just like, you just want me to like kind of just show up and not do anything? Hell yeah. Count me in. But that's been another...
You're basically doing that already, so...
Yeah. That's my day job. But it's just been really cool to, a little bit more so than before, like kind of get behind the scenes of like what goes on in producing a game. And that's really valuable, I think, from the point of the podcast. And that, I mean, I've already got a lot of knowledge just from interviewing game devs for so long, but now it's like, you see how the sausage gets made, essentially. I guess that's a better way of putting it.
Are you sure?
And I love sausages.
There's lots of see how the freaking dough gets made. Sorry, I had to push the cat back out. She's always bad. If her mom is not awake and I am locked in this room, she loses her fucking mind. She's like, people, fucking pay attention to me.
Acknowledge my existence. Yeah.
Is that your cat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kitty.
So yeah, Call of Seregnar is just, it's been like a life-changing, really cool experience. I'm on the website now. Did you guys see that?
Yep.
No, I didn't.
Go to callofseregnar.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom. It's so...
One second, I'm making... My girlfriend sent me a shit post making criticizations of my ability to find food in the fridge, and I gotta revamp this thing in Photoshop and send it back to her. Give me a minute here.
Criticizations?
Shut up. Sure. Just for you, it's Canadian.
Ty Brennan is a beer enthusiast and professional wrestling fan. Those are your only two personality traits.
That's my credential.
You're hired.
Like Damian, he's like, you can just write me like whatever you want the little blurb to say. And everyone else's were so professional. It's like Tony is a composer and musician, and Ben is a sound designer and all this kind of thing. And then Damian is an indie game developer. And then I was just like, what are my talents?
Wrestling.
Beer.
Should have used a less flattering picture. It's you just getting messed up or something. You look like a nice young man in that photo.
Yes, you do.
That's pretty recent. I think this was like a few months, maybe like 5 months ago or something. It was when my wife and I were on vacation in Bisbee, Arizona. Beautiful town. Everyone should visit there at least once. Probably easily one of my favorite places in America. It's just a very nice place.
I don't believe you.
And then I think the most prolific episode of Talking Doom with Flambeau comes up shortly thereafter, which is Animal. And strangely, one of the most successful podcasts published. Like,
he was so
I never
sober.
thought that was going to happen. He was enjoying some very legal substances in his home state. And it was very candid.
He was having a great time. It was more like, Motherload, are you free for another episode? Yeah. Who are we gonna ask? Yeah, let's all ask Animal. Yo, Animal, are you online? Yes. Join this. Why? What is it? Just join it. And then we did an interview.
I was really hesitant to publish it. Like when I was editing that, I was like, "There's no way I can publish this. This is gonna be bad. This is the worst PR we could ever have."
Was that because of the F words or?
No, it wasn't cursing or anything like that. It was like the whole tangent on furries.
I mean the furry one.
Yeah,
yes.
I thought I don't know, man. It's a really weird, hard line to walk here because I want to be like inclusive and I don't want to like make anyone who's listening to the show feel bad about their sexuality or whatever. But I also have no interest in like censoring anyone else's point of view, if that makes sense. And I don't think Animal actually like has a problem with, people who like to dress up and shit in litter boxes or whatever. But I could see how people could interpret the way he was talking in that episode really, really negatively. But it was so much fun. He was so funny, man. And also like a pretty fucking prolific guy in the Doom multiplayer scene in general. And it's just, I don't know. I'm glad we do Talk and Do with Flambeau. I don't think I'll ever want to get rid of that. It is difficult to have. I think we've recorded more episodes of Talking Doom and deleted them than we have published.
Yes.
Because there were 2 with domains that we had to delete. And then there was another one with, I think Ubergo has been on 2 that have been deleted. Like there's so many. We do them and then we're like, I don't take them as seriously, I guess, like from an interviewer standpoint, because it's just usually us shooting the shit with some friends kind of thing. So inevitably, we always get like fucking, yeah, I'm like half drunk by the end of it. And it's just like, well, let's just see what happens. Let's just let Animal talk for an hour.
Oh, and it was a good strategy. So fuck yeah, tragedy. We always call it tragedy. Never mind.
Then after that, Vince Desi, I have met few wiser men in my life. Like I got to like go to his house, and this is the quote postal house. This guy lives in a ginormous house. Like, I don't think I've ever been in a house that big. And I used to work construction for like a lot of houses and shit. Like, I don't think I've ever been in a house that was just like, whoa, people live like this. Holy, it was like being on MTV Cribs or some shit. Like MTV Cribs, a lot of them were like, they would rent giant mansions and pass it off as their house because they didn't want people to see how they actually lived. Yeah.
It's the TV business. It's all fake.
Rent a mansion?
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
Oh,
yeah. I think it was like they had Redman on one time, and they just brought him to they went to his apartment, and it was just like a shitty apartment, just dirty with chicken bones and shit laid out everywhere. Blunt
That's
wraps.
amazing.
Yeah, but at least he was honest, man. He's just being real. Like, fucking I believe Nelly's house was probably real, but he's like fucking ridiculously rich. So I imagine Nelly's really rich. He sold a lot of records at some point.
Absolutely. Just a few.
Then another really cool, like kind of recent episode was Szymanski coming back on, and I had the first time I interviewed him, I wanted to talk a lot more about everything he's done that's not Dusk, but you know, Dusk was so big and so all encompassing in our scene at the time that
it's very prolific. Yeah,
I know. Like, Dusk is the game that made boomer shooters like put us on the map in terms of, you know, this is
again, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, I wouldn't consider the original shooters that are like this genre. Like, I guess they're boomer shooters in a way, but at the time they were just first person shooters. You know what I mean? It's like going to Mexico and saying, like, let's eat in a Mexican restaurant. I'm like, no, that's just a restaurant here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there had been Rack and there had been Project Warlock, I think, but there just hadn't been anything that like really hit hard. Like, this is going to change the market until Dusk. Dusk, like, perfect game at the perfect time with the perfect guy marketing it, you know, which is Dave, and God bless him. Cathala bless him. Sorry.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, there you go.
But that I told Dave, like, right after that interview, like, let's do, you know, not right now, but let's do a podcast where we talk about everything else you've done. And this was like right around the same time that the recent DreadX collection, The Hunt, was coming out, which he was producing, which was all mostly shooters. I think all but one of these games is a first person shooter. But he had done so much in the horror scene, like the kind of indie horror scene, that had nothing to do with anything that, you know, first person shooter wise or Dusk or any of that kind of shit.
That was probably
and I think I actually
the most shocking thing of that episode, because I had played his games before he made Dusk, and when those facts were dropped, I'm like, oh yeah, the Music Machine, was that one of them? I think I played that, and the what was the other one? Oh god,
The Wolf.
I'm looking.
The Wolf. I was about to say The Wolf Among Us. That's not what I meant to say. There was the Moon Sliver.
I have
maybe?
the Moon Sliver, but I don't know if I played that one. There's a couple of them that are free, I think. There's one. It's got a Finger Bones. Yeah, I played Finger Bones.
Yeah.
Finger Bones. Yeah.
That game's fucked up, man. He couldn't have been like cooler and more like sensitive to the subject matter when we talked about it. But like, when I first played that game, I was seriously like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, seriously, I was like, David, if you ever, you know, when you listen to him talk or whatever, like, he's the most wholesome, nice, like, good Christian, loving husband and father. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, what happened to you? Who hurt you? No one, apparently. It's crazy. And that pretty much brings us up to the present. We've had a lot of really cool people on recently. I think Wojtek was fucking awesome. Like, Hyper Strange making the new Postal game. That was long overdue because, you know, I was in the fucking trailer and yet I didn't, for some reason, didn't find the right time until now to really talk about Postal Brain Damage. And I guess it needed more time to like have something to talk about. And this is episode 100. So at this point, we have 5 more episodes already scheduled, and they're all bangers, all of them. And I already spoiled them on Twitter too. I like dropped that screenshot Saturday of like, this is what we got coming up. But I'm very excited for the absolute longest episode ever in the history of In the Keep to come out and to see how people react to it.
Is it feature length?
Which is it is 4.5 hours.
It's like Titanic right there.
It's huge. It's I guess we'll go ahead and plug it and get people excited about it if they even give a fuck. But it's this guy, Jeremy Alessi, who I met because he was a friend of a coworker, and he is, he was a game designer since the mid 90s, and he literally wrote the book on iOS game development. Like if you go look up like on Amazon, go search Jeremy Alessi and you'll see the textbook on how to make iOS games will pop up. He made Swapfire for the Nintendo, I want to say Wii U, which is like one of the only first-person shooters published on that. And actually, I would consider it a retro first-person shooter graphically. And he tells this whole story about how he got into the game development stuff and how he got into software, and then his constant struggle with Nintendo. He got in on the Wii U, and then the Wii U was a totally, I wouldn't say totally unsuccessful, but definitely compared to what we have now, it was not one of the hits. And they will not give him the dev kit for the Switch for some reason, and he doesn't know why. And it kind of becomes this kind of like conspiracy theory, like what's going on behind the scenes thing about Nintendo, and that was interesting stuff. He also, I don't want to spoil too much, but the main thing that we're here to talk about with him is this product he's got called nAeb, which is it's built on this thing called Stream SDK, and it allows you to basically take your personal retro game collection. So if you have like NES stuff laying around or whatever, to stream it in real time with other people anywhere in the world, obviously accounting for, good connections and everything. But like you could be sitting at your house, Red Eyes, and I could be sitting here and we could co-op like TMNT.
I'll do that right now.
With like very minimal lag or anything.
We could get the 4-player arcade version going and have 4 people fucking going at it.
Yeah, like he's essentially working on the pass the controller system, the couch co-op for online play that other companies are trying to do. Like Steam is still trying to get their shit off the ground. It hasn't worked. And then there's, I think, Retrocade or something like that. There's a few companies that are attempting this and just haven't nailed it down yet. His works. And there's lots and lots of shit out there about it on his YouTube channel and stuff, like of him and other people testing it out and playing it. It's going to be really cool to see how it comes along.
I have questions, but I'll leave that to the podcast. The episode itself.
Okay. Yeah. That one's going to be hella dope. Smile Scythe is going to be dope. I think recently, for some reason, I have like the average podcast length has like gotten a lot longer. I mean, this is going to be a pretty long one right here, but it's episode 100 and you guys are my friends.
It's officially 2 hours. I know that.
Somewhere along that. It's right around 2 hours now, but
we did a 4-hour one with Arlene. So what's the rush?
I mean, even before that, like,
will be cut anyway.
I think overall, the average length of the show has kind of always been around an hour and a half ish. And then every once in a while, you just find somebody who's just like, let's just keep going. Like, let's talk. And you know me, man, I'll just fucking ramble on forever. So, like Smile Scythe, I want to say is like 3 hours. Jeremy's 4.5 hours. Arlene was 4 hours. I think Waffle Iron Studios, they were like 2.5 hours. It's just like, I don't know. People want to spend more and more time kind of digging into this shit. And they're not all going to be that long, don't get me wrong, but I like the freeform format. I got into that with Moleke because he does his Lock Jump podcast now. It's like Portuguese localization themed stuff. I would like to say that it's a really good show, and I'm sure it is, but I don't speak Portuguese, so I don't understand anything that's going on in it. But he was saying like it's crazy to do a 4-hour long podcast. No one's going to listen to that. And I was just like, but I mean, every episode of Joe Rogan is like minimum 2.5 hours, most of them 3 and some more. And that's the biggest podcast in the world. So like, I don't get how
people can skip through it if they want. Like, not a big deal.
Yeah. Like whatever. And most people aren't going to listen to the whole thing, but for the people who want to, I feel like you don't really get into the meat and potatoes of a conversation until you've been talking for a while. Like a 30-minute interview you're not really talking to the person. You're still talking to that kind of like front, that you're still getting to know each other at that point. Once you're 2 hours in, had a couple of beers, excuse me. Once you've had a couple of beers in there, like who fucking knows? Like you're really at that point, you're rolling, you're talking to this person. They're talking to you. They're being honest. They're like really giving you their soul. Not everyone, it's harder to get some people to drop their guard than others, but yeah. And that brings us up to the present.
I love presents.
So do I.
It's amazing.
I just really want to thank you guys for helping out, man. Like, In the Keep would not be what it is without everyone on the staff.
Oh, you're just saying that.
I mean, I could just be saying that, but it's true. I literally don't know how to do anything. So
you want to know what brought me here? Not only today, but every other day. Ambition. And the fact...
The free cookies.
The free cookies and...
Internet
and
cookies,
the ideas that get thought of and worked on and finished. I am attracted to that kind of go-getting attitude from all of you. And I am not the biggest... starting off, I was not a big... I wasn't really into whatever you guys are. I wasn't into Doom or Quake, but like just the fact that... And any of these other shooters, but like I've slowly gotten into it, and I love the friends that I...
It is kind of infectious, isn't it?
It's been kind of the evolution of the show, is that like I really don't want it to just be about shooters, I did at first. I really just wanted to like be the boomer shooter show, but then I kind of realized over time, like I'm growing as a person, and I don't just want to talk about nothing but boomer shooters. I don't even want to play boomer shooters all the time. I like boomer shooters, don't get me wrong. They're still like one of my favorite genres of games, but like I'm not going to ignore or like not use our platform for other things that I find equally interesting.
If not relatable.
I mean, that kind of started with Faith. That's when we kind of broke away from that a little bit.
Yeah, that was a good time to do it too, because it was like but it was perfectly retro and horror. Like I thought you were going to be like a horror and FPS kind of podcast for a bit.
I mean, we're still pretty much focused on that, but like I felt like obligated to disclose that at the beginning of the Faith episode. I was like, I know this isn't what you usually tune in to hear about, but I think you'll walk away happy that you did, kind of thing. And I just don't want to apologize for it anymore. Like since then we've had Conscript. That's a top down like survival horror game. We've had Scald. We've had Retrocade we just got done talking about. It's not a game, but it's an ability to play,
Because when these big titles, these retro kind of indie titles, or just indie titles in general, when they win, the rest of the indie developers win. Because people have faith like, hey, if a small team can pump out a game that AAA fucking companies are still unable to pop out on a regular basis, then maybe we should just start buying these games. That's what I started doing. Yeah. I stopped caring about AAA titles unless it's by somebody that's like a Rockstar developer, like Kojima. Like I've yet to play Death Stranding, but I still want to play it at some point.
I'm just not interested in spending $60 on something that will most likely disappoint me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, Doom Eternal hit me pretty hard. and then I don't know. I'm just damaged now. I still really like. I think it's a good game and all that. I won't have to have the Doom Eternal conversation, but like that was the end of me pre-ordering AAA games. That's not going to happen ever again.
Yeah. No, I just wanted it because Dude skin.
I don't want it because Dude skin.
Well, I also knew the combat loop. I'm like, you know what? I'll give this a shot. This is interesting. I wish it was a little less restrictive, but whatever. Not a big deal. I kind of want to see where it's going to go now that Microsoft kind of owns it. I hope they start including Doom on every single installation of Windows from here on out. They should do it. Bill Gates wanted to do it, kind of.
That'd be kind of dope.
Oh, man. Remember that fucking video of Bill Gates where he's like green screened in front of Doom with the shotgun he doesn't know how to hold?
And he's holding a wearing a trench coat, too. It's great.
Yeah, that was the original RedEyesGreenDragon video.
That's my dad.
Your daddy's Bill Gates. Damn, dude. You must be flown in
But you
money.
know who else wins? The consumer.
Excuse me.
You know, AAA titles, they got to do what they got to do. They cost big money to make, so they need to get the big money in returns. And, you know, $60 isn't going to cut it. They're going to throw all kinds of things at you that, you know, cosmetic things you got to pay for almost in every game that's AAA title. And it's, you know, it's your choice to spend that money.
Canadians really get shafted for it, and other countries do too. Like, just for reference, we pay like, what is it, $79, $89.99 for a game?
Yeah, but it's nice.
Like, what the frig?
Smaller titles by smaller teams. If it's more than one person, and usually it's one person nowadays, and you get more focused ideas, more condensed, tasty gameplay. You don't get, it's like, fast food. Do you want the fast food that you can get anytime, 80 hours per game you buy, or you want nice, delicious filet mignon, that takes you an hour or two to eat, or it's procedurally generated and you eat it forever.
I feel like a lot of like this. I think I finally understood the market of games that only take 2 to 5 hours to beat. People are like, why would I spend $20 on a game like that? And then I became like a full-on adult, and I'm like, yeah, no, I get it now. Like, once you hit like a certain point in your life where you don't have as much time for games, smaller titles seem way more appealing.
I'm going to step away for a couple minutes here, but you guys keep the conversation rolling.
You just sprinkle on multiplayer, Dusk. You throw a multiplayer in that works only half the time, and I'll keep playing it.
Yeah, like once we can get a proper, like, we just want a spectating tool, like a proper first person spectate. It's all we really wanted.
When we have Dusk Nights, it goes smooth, and then something happens. Like, everyone's got a different issue. Every player is like, why do I see two of the same server? I'm not seeing any servers. I see 10,000 servers, and my computer's crashing. That's not a real issue. But the other two were. And it's really frustrating.
And the fact that we can load up custom maps now that are built in Trench Broom and have them load properly, like, I can't wait for, like, I'm surprised we're not able to just, like, have the maps loaded on our systems. Somebody load up a server, boot up that map, and have everybody join who has it downloaded. I'm surprised that's not possible, but
for the Dusk mod support. But I really want to do Dusk modding, playing the Dusk mods, because Dusk. I want to play Dusk.
Dusk indeed. Oh man,
one of the
Dusk is it's the beast. Actually, that was one of the first tournaments me and Mother Logue did casting for. That was one of the first times I actually helped out with the community. Other than
I was thinking
Almar.
of Jusk. What's the one where they replace all the skins?
I don't know.
All the skins with
There's a lot of the ones like that.
Uncle John.
I'm pretty sure Bran Flakes uploaded one that was just like a box of Bran Flakes that replaced one of the boxes in the game.
Just.
Good job, Bran Flakes. Or Igrax Simons, or somebody did it. I know those two. Igrax Simon, who's an amazing music person who's produced music, or he did the intro. He also did the Pigeon Keep, or was it the Pigeon Keep? The Pigeon Classic theme song. I can't speak today. It's been a long
Jusk
week
is
for me.
the Dusk mod where every texture is like replaced with Big John. So,
I'm not sure how I
like
feel
the
about
rats
that.
have Big John's face. All the enemies have Big John's face.
Oh no.
I was talking to, I think it's 1 or 2 guys that worked on that mod. They were in my Discord, and they were just. I have the one picture of the Big John texture on one of the main enemies' faces as an emoji, and he was like, "Hey, I made that." I'm like, "Oh shit, it's the Just guy," and that was it. That was our conversation. So I need to play Jusk sometime as soon as I stop dicking around and actually learn how to install the mods without waiting for the Steam Workshop support. But yeah, Dusk, good. I love the episodic release format. I don't think I may have played the first episode of Dusk when it first came out, but I love like that classic release the first episode and then the other ones come out when we're done kind of a thing. Very classic of a way of doing things, but it's also exciting for the players that get the early access in the games like that. And then it's even.
I think developing early access games as an episodic format, I think,
it's
works
like a
lot
television
better.
show. When it comes out, you got to wait next week or however long. But then when you hear about it like a year or 2 later, and then you just binge watch it, you just binge play every episode of Dusk for a couple days.
Oh, that's what happened to me with Ion Fury. I played the beta and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I hope this goes somewhere more, because this is something, but it's not everything. You know what I mean? And then Ion Fury came out, and I was like, oh, it's so fucking good.
That's next on my list.
Oh, it's stuff, big explosions. Oh, it's so good.
Wrath. I've been having a ton of fun with that. Looks
That's
so
a good one.
Plays so good.
I have mouse issues with it though, unfortunately, with the Logitech mouse. I have to set like my polling rate to like 500 or like 100 or something like that to get it to work right.
I have a Logitech mouse too.
Yeah.
I just bought a 144 hertz monitor, and the first game I tested it on was Dusk. Mwah, that looked beautiful.
Oh, that is the best game to do it on.
First playthrough, and mwah, I didn't know it actually looked like that. You know, I seen.
Doom 2016 was my first 144 hertz playthrough.
Man, I would love to play through that game because I played like half of it and said I'll get back to it, and never did, and uninstalled it. But it's like 50 gigs. I don't want to reinstall that. I'm shocked that Doom Eternal was half that size. I'm glad that technology worked out.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. But also I don't know, there were some optimization issues obviously on the launch. I got to play through it again just to give it another try with optimizations. It's been a while. It's been over a year.
How do you release a game with, was it the anti-cheat or something in there?
The DRM, they had the friggin'
root access of your computer. What the fuck was that?
Oh yeah, no, that was when they tried adding the DRM, but the original launch version didn't have any anti-piracy protection or something like that. Yeah, I should have done that. I should have backed it up, but whatever. Just so I could install it on multiple PCs and test stuff with it and see how it runs. Use it as like a benchmarking version of Doom. The super jank broken version. If your PC can run this at 200 frames per second, by golly, you got a fucking good PC there.
You know, Motherload said that Doom Eternal was like his last game, or that was the game that made him not want to pre-order anymore. Doom Eternal was the game that made me scared to buy AAA games anymore. Because there's so many cooks in the kitchen. It made me realize there's so many cooks in the kitchen. There's so much going on that something like having the DRM accidentally, have access to the root of your system. Now, I'm no computer expert, but I heard people freaking out about that. And it's like...
Yeah, root access is like literally the keys to your house and nobody's home to...
that's
keep them
horrifying.
out.
Even if like that was an accident and they had no ill intent.
Like that's a TLDR version of it, but like just to give people an idea of why people would freak out, it's because that's getting access to your stuff.
I'm a dummy. I hear that.
That's not
what
fun.
if I spend $60 on a game only for it to reveal some kind of access into the back doors of my computer, and then someone online finds out about it, or and then tells everyone, and suddenly hacker heaven. I don't know how that would work. I'm just speculating and getting a rise, but
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can just get an indie game for not $60, have a good time.
Well, it's not like an indie game hasn't caused any problems before. What was it? Cube Ninja? I'm not sure if that was an indie game, but it was a smaller team that made it for the Nintendo 3DS. And it turned out to have an exploit on it that allowed like jailbreakers to fully like jailbreak the 3DS.
That's funny.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like you never know what your system can do or what. But that's programmers for you. They like messing up computers.
I guess
No,
when it's a big company, there's much more hype and audience around something like that. And when it's an indie game, if someone discovers, this indie game accidentally just lets root access into my computer, that's it for them. They're never going to sell another game or whatever. That's big no-no, even if it was an accident. But AAA people are going to forget. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I feel like
I agree completely.
It's
I think you're on.
It's hard. It's scary being a gamer nowadays.
I enjoy indie games, and it's like buying a AAA game is like going to fucking Benihana, and playing an indie game is like if someone invites you into their house and makes you dinner with organic ingredients that they grew in their backyard.
I'm pinching my fingers.
It's just way better.
Absolutely. And you get that personal touch.
Yes. And you know that person is actually benefiting from it. Like, I guarantee you most of the people who work at Rockstar or, any giant AAA company, the people who do the hard work most of the time, I'll leave some room for executive disorder folks, but we know that the people working on like Fortnite and shit like this, that they're just being grossly underpaid and grossly overworked for a product that they probably don't really believe in, I don't want to support that. I don't want my money to go towards that machine. I'm sure that it makes no difference and they're going to make all their money regardless of me, little old me or whatever, but that's just not what I want to put my money and time into. Also, Fortnite sucks, but that's just, irrelevant in this conversation. That's not the point. I'm just using it as an example of like a giant corporate money machine and not like a handcrafted singular vision that's someone's baby. Like, who was the guy who like came up with the idea of Fortnite? Like, do you think he was just like, this is going to be the most beautiful, wonderful, awesome experience, and I just can't wait for people to see my
here's
vision.
the thing, Motherload. Like, are you talking about the Battle Royale? Because that came second. Fortnite was originally like a horde-based wave defense kind of thing.
You see what I'm getting at, though? That was not their vision. They just took that vision and,
because PUBG came out. That's why
PUBG
got
into
fucking huge.
what would be the most profitable for their company.
Yeah, somebody took a pre-existing idea. It's like, oh, Battle Royale, that got huge. We're gonna now make that, which was smart. It was the smartest thing they ever did. Just look at them now.
It was smart in one way. It made a lot of money.
Well, Epic's like the one one of the older school developers and publishers that has been surviving this long and actually making some smart decisions, I think.
I mean, I agree with you from a monetary standpoint. They made a great decision from making a great game that will like last the test of time and like actually mean something to people. Like,
Well, how
I don't
many
know.
years has it gone on for? Kids are loving this. Like, I guarantee you, like, kids are gonna be like, "Oh man, I used to play a crap out of Fortnite back in the day."
I hope I hope that's the case. I hope people get a lot
Because
out of
it is a third person shooter. Like, it's awesome that kids are thinking about like 4-dimensional. Like, hey, it may just be, you may think of it as like, oh, he's just plopping up a wall instantly. No, some of these guys are like building forts on the fly, building pathways, trying to escape from enemies or to get a vantage point.
I respect
and they're
their
both
skill. I respect all.
Yeah,
the
no,
good things about
I just think
Fortnite.
that's great that kids are playing like a competitive shooter. You know what I mean? Whether it's first or third or something like that, because it's very old school when you think about it, like the whole jumping mechanics and how they move about the field and stuff like that. It's very video game.
You're not going to trick me into saying anything nice about the game.
No, I'm not trying to ask you to do that. I'm just saying, it's very much a video game first and foremost, and that's what I think is great. It's not trying to be anything else, I don't think. Well, it kind of is, but it's a video game first and foremost.
Right, but that's a total
great.
derailment from like kind of what we're talking about.
I know, my apologies. You can cut this out.
No, I'm not gonna cut anything out. It's fucking too long now. Except for that
What
one
we
thing.
talking about? I forgot.
We were talking about like the AAA versus indie
fuck 'em.
experience here. That's what I'm getting at. I don't give a fuck about Fortnite. Fuck them straight in the ass.
Yeah, no, fuck 'em.
People who play Fortnite
Seriously.
are fucking lame. You're lame.
Go play Minecraft. It's way better. That's an indie game.
It's the same thing as like go support your local business. Stop shopping at fucking Walmart and go support a human being, not a corporation.
They're fine.
Make a difference in someone else's
I'm glad
life.
indie games get the business when their product is good, but it's always nice when the art and the fun comes first before the business. Like Dusk. Oh, wrapping it back around. He was just making that and he was just jerking around in Unity, and then he just eventually made a fun game with the spare time.
Yeah, no, like there's a lot of stuff. That's how like half these developers were getting into. It was like, I just want to make something fun. I'm gonna stick around in their basement and make some games.
Well, that's what I'm doing with Call of Ragnar right now. It's just like, it's a pretty huge scope for an indie game, and the real question is funding. Now, does that mean that the game needs a publisher? Like, it would be nice maybe to have if the right publisher with the right deal came along and all that'd be cool. But it's totally Patreon supported, and if we can get to a point where Damian can work full time on the game off of money from things like not necessarily just Patreon, but things like that. If he can cover his mortgage and feed his kid, make sure his wife doesn't leave him while developing this game full time, that's the goal. And that's kind of my job, is to try to figure out ways to make that happen. Aside from, like helping with marketing and, helping with, if a publisher comes along, like, okay, well, let's talk to them in a business way. Like, because unfortunately, even in the indie industry, a lot of these quote unquote indie publishers, and I know who the good ones are. I know most of the good ones anyway. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there actively trying to take advantage of people who are not business savvy, but who are talented at making games. And that's a whole other can of worms.
Music
to open
industry.
Up. But I mean, that's any industry. That's industry. I mean, if you get signed on with somebody like New Blood with your indie game, I mean, you're about to have a hell of a badass experience, and you can pretty much guarantee that your game's going to come out great. You're going to have a great group of people working around you who support you. You're going to have excellent marketing, blah, blah, blah. Like, Dave's going to, when he takes on a game, he goes full fucking Monty. Like, he's in on your behalf. Not to say he's not also making a lot of money off of it, but I mean, it's a mutually beneficial situation. I don't want to talk about which game specifically, but there was one game that we featured on the show really heavily and had a lot to do with, that was in one of those like indie publisher deals that was like they take most of the money, and you don't make a dime even after once we put the game out on sale. You're not making a dime until we make back everything that we've invested in you. So like the game is published, there's money being made, and the person who did all of the work is still in like you're going to starve to death situation until the game turns a full on profit for the company. Like, that's just not fucking fair. It's not fair to anyone.
Sheesh.
It's just awful. It's just a straight up taking advantage of someone. I mean, yeah, you're cool. You got your game published. Yeah, you got some publicity, but like, it's not that particular publisher really didn't do jack shit to promote the game, except, put it on their website and their Steam page. Like, well, anybody can do that. I could have done that myself.
Yeah, you might as well not have one at all and just do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at. There's a people kind of, I mean, you have this idea like, I need a publisher. I'm making a game. I need a publisher. But I mean, A, you don't necessarily always need one. And B, it's like, is this publisher acting in my best interest, or are they just milking me for money, essentially?
The best thing,
you got to ask yourself that question
for any developers to take away from this is, I mean, with any rising, if you're trying to sell a product, learn a little bit of business, not necessarily, go all alone and don't have a publisher, but learn enough to know what's a good deal, what's a bad deal. Maybe have a friend that's good at business that you can, hey, this publisher deal looks like it's going to dick me over. Do you think it's going to do that? And they say, yeah. And at least you have a little bit of insight and foreshadowing before you release your child, your baby of a game into someone else's hands. But it's tough.
And I would also say, like, actually read the document.
Yeah.
Before you put your John Hancock on it. Think about what all this might mean. Take it to your lawyer if you have to, like, whatever, but don't give up your child, essentially, like your brainchild, to someone who doesn't actually care about you. Like,
yeah, if you don't know what you're doing,
a deal like that is the company basically telling you that they don't believe in you. You know what I mean? Like, when they say, like, you don't earn a dime until we've earned everything back that we've invested into this, they're saying, like, we're not partners here.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no, I mean, there is a little bit of risk for the publisher, but if they think the game is going to do good enough, they're just going to benefit. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think you should invest in things that you don't believe in. If that makes sense. Like, I mean, sure, just strictly talking, like, bare teeth business, like, just cold-blooded business talk. You don't have to. You don't have to invest in anything you give a shit about. You can just spread your money around all over the place, see what works. If one doesn't work out, who gives a shit? You make all your money back on the other thing. That's possible, but, like, that's not ethical.
That's not loving. That's just cold-blooded.
It's being a hack.
Be a hack.
You gotta take risks, and if your developer is not willing to take, if your publisher is not willing to take a risk on you, why are you willing to take a risk on them? Because they need you just as much as you need them. Like, without games, what is a publisher going to publish?
That's why I would love to see more startup publishers like New Blood from fresh faces in the industry, hence their name, of course, that have a better attitude. It'd be cool to see. When I think of New Blood, I don't think of a publisher. I think of, like, a gang, a gang of dudes that go around and collect game developers that are making games they love, and they just initiate them into the gang in a way.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially from the outside looking in and kind of talking to the people who work there. That does seem to be the case.
Their team's also really good at taking negativity and making something positive out of it.
They're like they're a bunch of dudes who have individual talents, and they lean on each other, right? So like you bring in Dylan to work, to develop Gloomwood, right? And there are some things that he's really good at, and there's some things that he could use some help on. And then they just look around the team. They're like, well, who here is really good at designing games, right? Or like designing guns for this type of game? Well, Dave is really good at that. Let's use David. Okay. And then David becomes like, basically the game doesn't say just Dylan anymore. It says David and Dylan when you turn it on. Like it's pretty beautiful. I don't think Hakita needs much help, but I'm sure he's getting somewhere in there. I think Faith is another one of those where it's just like, Airdorf is working on it mostly by himself, with the funding, and then, like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And then they just have a group of people who are really good at this offering him fucking, insider feedback. And again, a lot of this is speculation. Like I'll never really know unless I were, in there with them. But yeah, I mean, New Blood has an excellent and very different, very holistic kind of model that works. And I don't see why you wouldn't want that. That seems so preferable to the big company crunch thing.
Absolutely. And having
in every way.
If you're say a game developer that you're just the sole game developer of your game, it's great to have not only a publisher but like a group of people that want your game to be finished, so they're going to encourage you not only financially and the promise of financial gain, but like they want to see your game through. So if I can understand in certain situations, like you're a sole programmer, you're sitting at a computer all the time. Sometimes you might have a moment where you don't want to work on the game. So to have a good publisher that wants you to pull through with it, that can make all the difference in the world.
Well, I mean, and I think I've tried to encourage this within the Keep, but it's like nothing about this game or whatever project we're working on or this thing is more important than like your health and happiness. Like if you're doing something that you wish you weren't doing, I'd rather you just not do it. I'd rather you go get a full night's sleep and come back tomorrow than I would for you to stay up all night doing a half-ass job, and luckily in like my workspace, that's kind of always been the case. Like there's sometimes when it's just like, all right, we're all on the same sinking ship and we're just going to have to fucking deal with it. But like creating a culture of like just being very understanding of people's humanities, like they have lives, if you got to go deal with your kid or your fucking wife or girlfriend or like some real life shit that comes up, somebody dies and you need to go to their funeral. I mean, I don't want you to have to make a decision between a dumb project that we're working on and something that's actually important to you. And I don't think any company should do that to anyone. No one should feel like their life has to be on halt because of a product. And from what I understand, that's like, New Blood has done a great job with that. Like, I don't know how the inner workings really go, but I would imagine like everybody's pretty fucking goddamn supportive of each other. They're just like,
absolutely.
We that's like the part of their motto is like, we don't crunch. If you're lacking the creative juices today, come back when you have them and we'll get there and we'll stand behind you to help you get there. And if you come to a point where it's like we have a release date and like we have to delay something, then like it's on. There's a right and a wrong way to do that, And if the publisher stands behind you and says like, no, we are going to delay because we want to give and that's part of it too, is having the right kind of fan relationship or supporter relationship or whatever, is saying, no, we realize you guys want this game, but we would much rather give you the finished product than to give you the timely, not finished product or the lackluster product.
Trademark.
But then you have the AAA industry doesn't work that way because you have so much money invested. So many different people have money invested, and they all want their money now. It's my money, and I need it now.
J.G. Wentworth.
I think we're probably. I hope that doesn't get us kicked off YouTube.
That's the copyright strike.
You doomed us. Yep.
Yeah, the copyright strike is the J.G. Wentworth commercial.
I'd be happy about that. I don't know about you guys.
You can do that on your own channel, you asshole.
You know, if that's what gets me a copyright strike, I'm down. You know, like let's just go. I don't care about YouTube anymore. I used to care.
Right.
Fuck YouTube. Like, that's not where our money comes from anyway. But like, I'm waiting for the day we get kicked off YouTube. Like, please kick me off YouTube. It'll be the best thing that ever happened because that'll be one less chore I have to do.
Now they won't do it because you're asking to do it.
I know, and that sucks. This will be the one that's like catapults us to YouTube fame.
Did any of you guys use VidMe when that was a thing years ago?
Yeah,
kinda.
VidMe was I remember not Vimeo. Well, that is a alternative competitor to YouTube, but VidMe was the up and coming YouTube that it was basically YouTube, but just a different company, and I was using that for a while because it was heavy on getting new creators, like the other site. It has like a fire logo. I forgot what the other site's called, but VidMe had to get shut down because we know that YouTube was operating at a loss for years, even after Google bought them, and to have a startup that is of the same vein of YouTube is so difficult that it can't even happen. And I wish it could happen. I wish we could have.
Odyssey's doing really well. In the Keep is on Odyssey, by the way, for anyone listening who would prefer to hear it through that medium. Odyssey is like a blockchain sort of alternative to YouTube in that it kind of operates on its own crypto. It rewards people for watching and using it with crypto. I don't really understand any of that shit, but like essentially what Odyssey is doing for me is that everything that I upload to YouTube automatically uploads to Odyssey, and it's backed up on Odyssey. So if we lose YouTube, all of our shit will still be on Odyssey. And
look at this.
And I mean, to be totally frank and honest about it, it's kind of one of those like safe havens for the right wingers kind of places, you know, which I think all anonymous open source things tend to be, not because they sought out to be in any way, but just because, you know, people who value freedom seek freedom and find it, and that's where they go. Because, you know, the totalitarian, draconian emperor overlords of Google and YouTube are silencing them. And so what do? You go take your business elsewhere. And I don't want us to be that, but I'm happy for our shit to be backed up and available to our fans. Should YouTube decide that we're too edgy for them or some shit, which I don't think we're all that edgy. I just apologized to furries earlier.
I didn't have to. More sites that are like YouTube, but more niche, like Newgrounds. But they've been around for a while because that Newgrounds is more animation and Flash. And even though you get animations on YouTube as well, it would be nice if there was another site home to a specific kind of creator other than having to rely on YouTube.
Good morning, baby.
I hear cat.
We're welcome to In the Keep podcast, honey. This is episode 100.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks, babe.
Sorry to budge.
There's no reason to be apologetic. Take the cat with you, though.
Come on, kitty.
I love cats that respond vocally.
Any day now, kid.
All right. I love you, ladies.
Love you.
Talking to me?
Mrs. Motherload.
nAeb.
I think nAeb's getting
just
food.
Gonna say hi. I was gonna just throw a wrench into the mix.
Yeah, I agree with you though about the. There's part of me that agrees and part of me that disagrees. Like having more niche, like focused sites would be beneficial, I guess. Like if you had like a video site that was just for gaming content or something
That would
like
be
that.
horrible.
Might be nice.
Oh, imagine if we just had a streaming platform just for gaming.
That used to exist, and people
No,
figured
really?
out just chatting tools and. But I don't have a problem. Like, man, Twitch. Like, I don't give a fuck what you do on Twitch. Who's that one guy that he's like a carpenter? That's like all he
There's
does.
so many
is just
people like that, and I
that's
love
cool.
that. You know how I discovered was on Twitch was Timbaland. He's making beats on Twitch all the time.
Excuse me.
Yeah, there's a lot of musicians,
really?
like famous musicians on Twitch. Like what's the guy's name from Linkin Park?
Literally the only member of Linkin Park that I could name is dead, so it's not him.
Yeah, Mike
something.
Mike Staklas. Linkin Park, Mike Shinoda. Yeah,
Mike Shinoda. There we go.
T-Pain's on Twitch.
Mike Shinoda.
Also Herman Lee from Dragon Force is on there. He gets a bunch of metal guitarists, and that's fucking awesome to watch. Go check out his channel sometime. He gets like 200 viewers of like a stream sometimes. Like, go give him some support. He's cool. He's a gamer at heart. Like, fuck. All of their music is okay to play on Twitch. Dragon Force is cool.
Yeah, he said that, and then he got DMCA'd on his own song.
That's how you do it.
I don't know if you saw that. He literally
I did. No, that was the whole thing. That was the whole thing that got like Twitch and like, oh, we got to get our shit together a little bit more.
Metallica.
It's a dumpster fire, man. It's a total fucking dumpster fire. Like, people are so heavily dependent on these giant corporations to pay their bills, and then they like get super invested in that, which is cool. Like I want people to be able to depend on that kind of stuff, but like you're dumb if you do. If you literally think that you're just going to like make a living on Twitch forever and that they are going to act in your best interest, you're wrong.
Have you seen YouTube? Like,
you're just totally wrong. YouTube is the same way.
Exactly.
And it's like it's not if they don't that they don't want to. It's that they can't. Maybe they don't want to either, but a site like YouTube, they can't give a shit about millions.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're like any person working at YouTube or Twitch is bad. Like DJ Wheat's a great guy as far as I know. Like, I just think that you're depending on a corporation. That corporation is a super organism. It's not a person. They don't give a fuck about you. It's this giant thing that will operate on its own. I've used this metaphor before, but it's like if you walked into Exxon tomorrow morning and you were the CEO and you were like, hey guys, we're all billionaires, right? And they're like, yeah, we're all billionaires. They're like, okay, cool. Let's stop doing fossil fuel. Let's just stop right now. Like, why are we still doing that? Like, it's wrong. It's bad for the environment. It's fucking everything up. Let's just put all of our money into electric cars right now. Have them out next year. They're like, let's do it like real fast, like the COVID vaccine. Yeah. The COVID vaccine. It's a good business strategy. Let's do that. And then you said that as the CEO, you would be replaced by lunch. They would just get a new CEO. It would replace you like a cell in a body. It's like if you scratched a cell off your ass cheek, a skin
Thinking
cell
about
or some
that
shit.
would make your stock just drop.
Yeah. And that's how corporations operate, man. They don't fucking care about you. So that was a big crux of the conversation with Arlene is like, yeah, I get it. You want people to follow the Twitch's rules or whatever, but like, good fucking luck. It's never going to happen. And Twitch is not going to, they're not going to just enforce it for your benefit. They're going to do whatever's profitable for Twitch because that's what it is. It's a corporation that's designed to make money, not to help people out. I wish it were, I really wish that were the case. And as soon as I see something like that, I guarantee you I'm going to jump on it, but it ain't happening.
That's why I'm not surprised when I'm getting ads on every YouTube video now, because no one's paying for YouTube Premium, so they gotta do what they gotta do to keep things afloat.
I mean, think about that. They want you to pay them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I pay for Hulu, so I can't really say much, but like, they want you to pay them money so that they won't show you ads. Which I get it, like they have to make money somehow. Like that's a way better system. Is for if you just pay for what you use. That's an infinitely better system, but like because they've set this giant precedent of it being free, that you're not going to escape the ad model because people are not going to think that way. Most people aren't going to think that way.
When you're conditioned for so long.
But yeah,
when
it's way better to just have a direct relationship between customer and service provider monetarily than it is to use the ad model as a buffer in between you. It's a better experience for everyone.
I just wish it wasn't $12 a month. I mean, I'm glad I'm not paying for anything else monthly besides Spotify, but I'm like, okay, I'll once I got 2 ads on a 10-minute video, I'm like, all right, I'll pay for YouTube. How much is it? Yeah, I guess.
That's how they get you.
I thought the price was lower.
I mean, I think about it. The biggest one that really actually keeps me up at night thinking about it is I use Discord every single day, all the time for my business. Like that's what In the Keep is first and foremost has always been a Discord community. And yet I don't pay for Nitro because they're offering me a bunch of shit that I don't want. Like, there's a lot of things about Nitro that I do want, but I don't like, I feel like they could just offer me a wholesale price on it and I would pay it. Like, just tell me how much it costs to like boost the voice servers to like 128 and that'd be it. I don't want to do this whole fucking token system. Just give me the flat rate price and I'll write it off on my taxes and I'll pay it to you. But I don't want all the stupid game shit. I don't want like, what is it Nitro even offering these days? Like,
it's $5 a month, $50 a year, HD video, bigger uploads, server support, status repping, emoji power, personalized profile.
Yeah, like I don't want emoji power. I do want the stream quality. That'd be
bigger
nice.
Uploads too.
Yeah, I mean that's okay, but there's other services that can provide that to me.
As a video editor, and when I want to like show something I did in a video, like a short segment, I don't like bumping my bit rate in the export down to 1 megabyte just to make it under 8 megabytes as the final render. I had to do that the other day. So it'd be really cool to have 100 megabyte upload size.
Well, like,
or even like 16. Like frig, even like 16 would be nice. Because like I use like a WebM tool, and that works all right. It creates it pretty small. But like honestly, 8 megabytes is just so it's just too small. It just needs to be a little bit bigger.
It's a conspiracy.
I know.
Bastards. Conspiracy?
Conspiracy?
Yep.
Conspiracy, yeah.
It's just...
Money rules everything around me.
There's smart ways to go about it, though. There's excellent ways to go about it. Like, Discord's monetization system right now just is not... It doesn't appeal to me as a customer. I would much rather just pay for what I want. Like, just give me the itemized value of these services and I will pay that. It'd probably be more than the cost of a Discord Nitro thing, but like, what do you get out of that? You get 2 boosts and you have to make like 15 boosts to make your server up to the level 2. And like, so now I'm like at this point where it's like, we're just going to beg people to like, hey, use your nitro boost that you pay for on us on this one server out of like 80 that you're in. Like, and it's been, we've always had at least, one or two people who are willing to do that. But
that's what sucks too. There's
whatever.
Do you not get anything at all really from like 2 people boosting the server? Because you need the 15 for the next level. There's nothing in between.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just give me the fucking flat rate price. Like I said, I'll write it off on the business taxes. Easy. No problem. Like here, let me give you the itemized list of what I want, and you tell me how much that costs, and we'll both walk away happy. But then they have so many people using their platform. Like, do they really have the bandwidth to deal with that? And I get that too. I love Discord. Like, for all its many little, intricate flaws and all that, they provide an excellent service that has been nothing but life-changing and beautiful and fantastic for us.
Absolutely. So. It brings me back to playing Xbox Live. Like, I've gone away from that experience for so long, and I come back going on Discord, and then I'm like, oh wow, this is like the same experience, except more of a community than it is just people I talk to on the Xbox.
Like when you want to talk about social media, this is the truest social media I've ever interacted with.
I don't want to see people like. I never liked the Facebook way of social media. What I loved about Facebook was like the groups and all of that, and that's like this on crack. There's so many groups you can join, and you can mingle, and it is very.
The whole idea that there's a fact that there's a server list and you can see the people in the chat and just drop in. There's no, hey, invite them to the call. That is the biggest thing. It's less jumps that people have to do to get to the call, the better.
And it's fun.
And they've just made it install, click, join. That's it.
It's so easy to kind of set it up to your specific needs, right? Like, you can make it into whatever you want. You can make a private place that's just for people to literally design video games. Like, there's so many games that could not exist without Discord. Essentially, I mean, sure they could, but they have the whole Discord thing set up so that it streamlines their development process, and that works for them. And for us, like, we have the community areas, and then we have the private areas that are just for us to talk business or work on things or whatever. And you can make pick up lobby Discords. There's so many ways you can bend it. And I used to have a Discord study group when I was going to college. Like, it provides so much customized.
And it's way better than what Teams does. Like, Teams tries to kind of do something like Discord, but Discord's way too fucking good.
Teams is ass, man.
Yeah.
Like, we use Teams at work, and I'm just like, man, I will run the Discord server just to not have to use Teams, like, easily. And it's free. That's the other thing, is it's free, and I don't see a single fucking advertisement ever on Discord, which is crazy. I don't know how they make money other than the Nitro shit. And yet, the more I talk about it, the more I feel bad about not paying for it. But I just really,
I think they're working on like a noise.
You clearly didn't read the terms of service, I guess.
Well, I know they're selling our shit. Like, they own everything we post, essentially.
Yeah, and that's like gold in these
selling
times.
Information. Yeah, you're right.
Now I'm depressed.
Okay, so what's the price point? Like, how much do I have to pay Discord to, like, but not mine? I'm assuming I would have to then beat the price of whatever they're paying for my information.
Which is pennies.
Which is, I'm sure I can't do.
It's all in bulk. Right, Flambeau?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you don't even know all of your information.
No, not my metadata.
He doesn't even know his wedding date.
I do.
Oh.
Well, how much is it?
I would tell you how I remember it, but that would involve giving away too much information publicly.
My wedding date is just so easy.
I know this one.
Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why I'm not forgetting it.
Is it 420?
Of course.
Hitler's birthday.
Hitler's birthday. She decided to. She opted for that date. I'm like, okay, I can remember that one.
Isn't it also World Weed Day?
World Weed Day.
Yeah, it's 420. If you see somebody with 420, you know he's a pothead.
Mm-hmm. Well, for 9 years now, 420 is just celebrated over the entire world as my wedding date.
Everyone
is smoking weed for my wedding date. Isn't it nice? I love you guys.
Oh man, I think that's beautiful, Flambeau. I'm very happy for you.
Thank you,
Mrs.
thank
Flambeau.
you. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Well, before we kind of call it quits on this thing, is there anything anyone else would like to throw out topic-wise? Like, I'll go for as long as y'all want. But
Can you just do a recap for me from the beginning again, please? Because I missed parts.
Yeah, we with many interjections, we went through the kind of the history of In the Keep podcast. We went through a lot of the episodes and reflected back on the ones that I thought were really special to me. We talked about the potential for esports to have a world stage in either the Olympics or the World Games. Hadakant had a brief tangent about Fortnite when we were discussing
Fuck you.
He had a brief tangent about how much he loves Fortnite while we were discussing the
I'm glad that video games are video games, not fucking dildo.
I guess this is the point where Hadukant has to challenge a Motherload in a grudge match, like Organ Grinder in Fortnite, I guess.
No,
in chess.
I wouldn't even. No, that's not a real game.
Make it a game.
I'll play real chess. I'll play Doom Eternal.
Me and Uncle had in Warfork Duel at Organ.
Oh yeah,
Grinder.
you're going down.
I would destroy you.
No practicing beforehand. We have to be as rusty as shit.
I would absolutely destroy you. 100%. No, I wouldn't even think twice about it.
I think last time I won, what was it, 10 to -15? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think it's ever been that bad, but like, I am more confident in the fact that I'll show up ready to play, and you'll get nervous knowing you're on camera.
Yes.
I'm not going to be on camera.
Yes, you are going to be on camera.
You'll be on stream.
Yeah, you got to
You'll
be on camera.
No, I'm going to be streamed. I'm not going to be on camera.
No, you have to do a promo video.
Oh,
I'm doing the promo video. Don't worry.
No. I got a better way. We just let Mrs. Kant stream it and commentate it.
We need to elaborate for people who heard like 2 hours ago when we said that. We're not calling her Mrs. Cunt. We're calling her Mrs. Kant, like Hadukant.
It's my evil alter ego that they keep calling me, and I keep telling them that's not me.
That was your name for like years, and then you just had a nephew and decided to change it. So it's like,
well, that and people called it Hadusant, and I was like, no. I know they are not masters of the English language.
Sorry for my bad.
Neither am I.
But anyway,
was it Mitch?
I have no doubt in my mind that if you and I played 1v1 Organ Grinder grudge match in Warfork, I would demolish you. I would absolutely win.
Okay, whatever you say.
So that was the recap for the last 100. Motherload, what's your forecast? What's your forecast for the next 100?
To keep doing it.
So looking into the future, just like episode 200, what will you be recapping then, hopefully?
Episode 200. I'm trying to like just imagine who episode 200 would be even. Like, what would we have done by then? It's impossible to extrapolate on what we've done so far. I think we're going to do a lot more just boomer shooter type stuff, like tremendously more. I've gotten a lot more into that community because of my work with Call of Ragnar. We already have a bunch of people that are not recorded yet, but are kind of lined up from the RPG community. I also think that in the Keep itself will continue to grow in the esports production side of things. So we'll probably have a lot more representation of that kind of stuff on the podcast. I believe that this will become, it will always stay the same in that it's like candid and chill and like conversational and all that. Mm-hmm. But I think that as we move into the more industrial, like profitable sides of things, we're going to hear a lot more about my adventures, learning that business and doing that kind of stuff.
Oh.
I hope that this podcast will be like a tool that, and it already kind of is, but like the indie devs can listen to and say like, that's possible for me. That's an obtainable goal that I just heard someone say, and I can do that myself. And it'll be like a thing you could subscribe to that's a constant wealth of knowledge for them to do what they do better.
Okay. Well, let's see how much you can get out of that.
That's just a forecast.
Mm-hmm.
Forecasts are good for about 3 days, and then it's just like, rah.
Yeah, still. I wish you well in the coming 100 episodes.
I wish you well, too.
Thank you.
Coming 100 episodes of Talking Doom with Flambeau.
And you will see. I need to find a new guest. Gonna be hard.
Have me on there.
Oh, absolutely, we can do that. And we gotta have Nationwide Moose back then.
Nationwide Insurance? Yeah.
First episode I watched.
Yeah. I am Lord.
When's the last time anyone's even heard from Nationwide Moose?
Me, 3 hours ago.
I didn't get a message.
Okay, I did.
He doesn't care about me.
He does care a lot about you. He misses it
whenever
he is arranging for his own place, where he then will also have fiber optic connection, so he will then be more able to jump in voice chat without cutting off, without dropping off, and he can even play online games again.
Oh,
so
that sounds good.
You will see more from him again.
I miss you, Moose.
I miss Moose too. He was so great. But yeah, busy times, busy life. Working offshore and
Moose, if you're listening, when we going trucking again, I got the playlist.
Yeah,
I would like
to load it up.
I remember him trucking with the traffic mod. That was fun.
I'd like to dedicate episode 100 of In the Keep to Nationwide Moose.
Oh, absolutely.
Baby, come back.
All right.
He has a nationwide size heart, and it's not a condition.
Yeah, that guy is just amazing. I'm really blessed to be one of his friends and to have him as a friend.
There are so many people I could say that about now, like that I wouldn't have had if not for this podcast.
And I keep sucking up to people. Just kidding.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Got him.
And it goes the other way around too. I'm also blessed with you. We are all blessed with you.
So,
whatever.
It's always great hanging out with you guys.
Don't they get so sappy about it, Jesus?
Let's get naked. Come.
And come.
Spicy.
All right, I'm ending it. This is getting out of hand.